the most important moments of the run commence immediately. You see, the first 4 encounters are crucial for the playthrough logistically, but also for the spirit of the run. I mean, a starter pack of Pidgey, Sweet Veil, Bound Sweet, and a runaway Lillipup is brutal, whereas a blistering pack of Fletchling, Gossifleur, and Baneri has me feeling like I have a real chance at going the distance. And let's be fair, this is the quickest part of the game to get back to, so it's the only part of the game you'll find me resetting after a little bad luck. But 278 was built for me with a Rookity, Lotad, and Bunnelby. Look, I have some integrity, okay? Looking for the perfect run is boring. I love an underdog. And carving our way through the first few trainers was nothing. We even added a whole supporting cast for Yawns through 3 separate pockets of early game starters. Combi, Timpole, Surskit, and Sizzlipede around Petalburg, Horsey, Makuhita, and Sfeel in Dewford, and Krabby, Remoraid, Rhyhorn, and Flaffy around Slateport. Do all of these encounters matter? Actually, probably yes. We'll use them all at least once. But the first major roadblock in any run and bun attempt, bar the metronome spin to trainer on the first route, is Gym Leader Brawly. So naturally, I brought some absolute garbage. I opened with Vandranth, the Vespiquen, who was tasked with simply not flinching, which worked out actually. Air Slash then sliced up the baby Cubfu with ease. This did invite out Hitmontop next, who calculated that it could outspeed and OHKO Vandranth from here. I had to get my guy out, and I did, having Nakalai the Rhyhorn tank a Rock Slide, pivoting to Jens the Masquerain to drop its attack, and having Gremory the Krabby slot in next. And can I just say, in my opinion, I think it's ridiculous that Gremory stands a chance against this Technician dirtbag, but Aerialise packed a hell of a punch. I kind of fumbled around my damage ranges here though, and swapped through Gens into Oxbox the Makuhita to get a little fake out damage in. And you might be thinking, damage ranges? What are you yapping about, guy? Good question. If the opponent knows that it's slower and dead to a move, it's guaranteed locked into any priority move that it has, unless it sees a kill with another move. Better news, Top had its attack stat dropped 4 times and was never killing with anything. Then after that fake out chip, Jens was able to fry this guy. Gust always killed, and Mach Punch, its priority move, was never going to do anything to us. And I'm here to teach you all sorts of useless AI tricks, so strap in. Lopunny comes out next because it outspeeds and kills, but this eject button that it's holding is super abusable by using a priority move like Quick Attack to swap it out. Combuskin then came in next, and Cutie the Diggersby was able to take no damage from Thunder Punch. Yes, Double Kick did hurt the next turn, but Cheek Pouch brought most of that health back, and Dig into Quick Attack was overwhelming for the Teenage Rooster. Lopunny was back out and eject buttonless this time, so I bulldozed with Nakalai and had Jens intimidate it to do a hint of damage, and then I asked Cutie to get back in to finish the job. This is easily one of my favorite Brawlies I've ever put together, just because of the amount of teamwork that went into it. There was a lot of moving parts. With Poliwhirl out, sopped up superpower like SpongeBob absorbing the Goo Lagoon, and I angled to slow it down with a scary face. One issue, Ice Beam tastes gross to Masquerains. We fired it off anyways and swapped back to Gremory to bait Hidden Power Grass as Vandranth got back in. With Poliwhirl slowed, it was time for a classic gamer move, Air Slash Flinch. Okay, I didn't get it, but think about how cool that would have been. I packed it up next turn anyways, and it was moneymaker time. Oxbox, finish this Scraggy, please. Okay, Fake Out did nothing, and Power Up Punch did way too much damage to me, but I did have an idea. Back into Vandranth on nearly guaranteed Power Up Punch. I just needed Air Slash to finish the job, and it did. Deathless through Brawly. We were on our way. The trek to Roxanne wasn't spectacular, as I picked up 3 Pokemon that may or may not contribute to the team in Weepinbell, Hatchram, and Clauncher. But I had a strategy to get through Roxanne here flawless. Almost as flawless as this watch I got my dad for Christmas from the sponsor of today's video, Holzkern. Well, hold on. You're just gonna read a sponsor in the middle of a fight? Oh yeah, I was thinking we could do like both at once. It'll be fine. Now, the strategy for Roxanne was to open with Gremory to rock Bisharp with Brick Break, then Aqua Jet. Buy sharp? More like buy not sharp. You know what looks sharp? The Holzkern catalog. Holzkern is a family business founded in Vienna, Austria, and serves as a watch and jewelry brand for both men and women. I wear this watch when I go out, and I just got this beautiful bracelet as a gift for my girlfriend. Zygarde stepped out to defeat Gremory, but I wasn't having any of it. I swapped through Yawns into Jens for an Intimidate drop, and then to win the Celio to Aurora Beam. That counter was natural. just like
the materials that all Holzkern products are made from.
This ensures that every single product is unique, and Holzkern is FSC certified, actively engaging against deforestation. Uni smashed Mudshot to drop Aurora's speed, the little toad even tanked a refrigerate body slam. What a small, high-quality Pokemon, similar to how
Holzkern makes its watches and jewelry.
Holzkern products are made in small quantities, guaranteeing every item meets a high standard of quality that will last you a very long time. Holzkern offers free express worldwide shipping from the beautiful Vienna, and custom fees are on them. Products typically arrive within 2 to 5 business days.
Order your Holzkern products today.
Black Week only lasts so long, so click on the link in the video description or pinned comment to get an exclusive 30% off for a limited time only. Again, to get 30% off of your order, all you have to do is click on the link in the video description to order something for you or a special someone today. Thank you, Holzkern, for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back into the action. Now, I've skipped over like 100% of all random trainers in my coverage of this run, and you might be wondering why. It's mostly because this game has like 500 trainers, and covering them all would just not fit into the video. At this point in the game, however, we do start encountering notable random trainers that can ruin a run in any given moment. Real quick, we did add a bunch of new guys to the team, including Trapinch, Pikachu, and Nidorino, but it was time to take on the ever-feared Chell. Chell was tough, and her team was pretty well built. We should lock in on 3 members here though: Togekiss, Slowbro, and Delcatty. Togekiss is special because Scope Lens plus Super Luck plus Air Cutter means guaranteed crits no matter what. Slowbro was also a demon, but for very different reasons. Quick Claw and Quick Draw combine to create a 44% chance to move first. With Zen Headbutt flinches on the line, any run could be devastated. And Delcatty's just an early game powerhouse. Fake Out into 140 base power stab last resort is always insane to play around here. I built a team of guys and I prepared to get my butt kicked. Oxbox opened pre-burned to invoke Guts and avoid any chance of seeing Lapras putting us to sleep. The good news, Oxbox never got hit with anything because she KO'd the Sea Pony. Crack the Ampharos then took a lot of damage from Grass Knot Togekiss, but was able to bite back with a Shockwave crit. After a second Grass Knot left Crack at 10 HP, the sheep buried it with Thunder Punch. Demon number 2 took center stage, and I asked Knack to step in. You would think that this defense heavy normal resist would be able to handle some punches from a cat. Wrong. After doing what felt like no damage, Knack was at 2 HP. This was a disaster. The situation gives me the same vibes as that one cat in DeMarcus Cousins picture. Oxbox swapped back in and took a beating from last resort, but surviving was the prize from hitting that range earlier on that Lapras. Fake Out zipped us through. Violet the Seadra drenched a Rhydon and invited out Vespiquen. Look how ridiculous my party looked at this point. Everything was gonna die soon. Gremory was not a great counter to this Vespiquen, by the way, but I did teach it Rock Tomb for this moment, and I gave it a hard stone, and I hope for the best. We are guaranteed dealing with HP Grass this turn, and being as we have Rock Tomb and a hard stone, we have a 75% chance to kill this. You got it, buddy. song, I pivoted into gens on close combat, looking to drop defenses, air slash slice through the beast, and take Cinccino's out. You might be wondering why this guy would be so difficult. That skill like, who cares? It's Cinccino. Well, Cinccino here holds a cage lock, which means that every attack leaves my Pokemon who are not outspeeding this guy with a 41% chance to flinch. That's ridiculous. It's super hard to win Pokemon battles when your Pokemon can't use Pokemon moves. Could Chilla beat the odds here? Well, Chilla had to. This charge smacked us the first time after failing to acquire a weak process. We would have to roll it again, but Chilla did it. one casualty. Unfortunately, the footage is mostly gone, but I still have this clip thanks to user Snomunism for clipping this from Squirk's stream. Doesn't die, 30% chance it flinches anyways. So I would love to hit this range. Hit it. I didn't hit it. Do I get the flinch anyways?
Yes! 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 Finally! Finally! Some justice, man! Finally!
I cooked something better for this attempt, I promise. Stay with me. V-Hail the Sceptile and Caliber the Flygon open for me, two cornerstones of this run, and you might be curious why I have a grass type out in this Permasun disaster. Well, both of these guys targeted V-Hail, and Caliber was able to Rock Gem boost Rock Slide the opposition and kill Zard and tear a bit into that Salazzle. I then swapped into Omastar and dealt good damage to Entei and asked both my opponents if they would pretty please double target the shell on the left. This was going to be the base of my strategy. Omastar resisted fire moves and Sceptile resisted grass and ground moves. By swapping them back and forth and firing off protects, I was going to be able to do a lot of damage with the other Pokemon in the battle, in this case Flygon. And lucky me, they both did attack Omastar here. Rock Slide finished both Entei and Salazzle, and we were up 3-0 on Flannery. The next turn was a little weird though, as Alolan Marowak wanted to kill me in every which way, shape, and form, but I cooked okay double pivot into Ale and Nakalai. That Intimidate drop on both sides of the field helped as both Pokemon got hit pretty hard. I switched Nakalai out, afraid of a grass move here, and Marowak detected, thank God. Talonflame Solar Beam did nothing to V-Hail. Free to fire off Detect once again, it's probably worth noting that I handed the Speedy Lizard an Iron Ball to make sure it undersped everything at all times, as being slower means Pokemon that see a kill on it are nearly guaranteed to attack it. We dropped Talonflame with a second Waterfall. 6v2 with no Pokemon on our team even below half health. We had this one in the bag. I swapped to Caliber and Pepper and tried to use my Protect strategy again, but Incineroar targeted Caliber instead of Pepper and dropped my HP a ton. Marowak now saw a kill on both slots. I could no longer count on Caliber to deal any more damage without flipping a coin on its life. Into Violet and Ale, my Deathless Streams were falling apart. Neither of my water types could do any damage to these fire types in Sun. I chipped Incineroar with Octazooka, which was pitiful, and watched as Violet took a Poltergeist and then a Darkest Lariat. Back against the wall again, I needed to send something in. And why not a Pokemon with the Intimidate ability? Sure, Ale was at half health, but it had the best odds of surviving here, right? It's not gonna Blaze Kick. It's gonna Darkest Lariat. There's nothing I can do about it. It is what it is. Oh, that sucks. That's really tough, man. That's really tough. That was the worst move to see. It went Blaze Kick. Survive. It's at -2. Oh my God. No burn. Okay. All right. Hold on. That's insane. From there, Marowak fell to Ale's crunch. If this was a game of Mario Party or boating school even, both Ale and Violet would get gold stars. Welcome to Surf Sim. We're getting loads of encounters here, like Barraskewda, Ambipom, Hisui Voltorb, Hisui Quillfish, and Alolan Muck. It's probably worth noting that we also just got the Mega Ring and had access to a couple Megas right now. And in a twisted turn of events that none of my haters had come in, all of a sudden I was at Weather Institute. It might have been an accident that I got here, but here I was. I did get an encounter in Excursial the Galvantula, whose compound eyes meant that Thunder was never ever missing. And I did trip up against one singular trainer on my way there, as this evil Mantine launched a critical hurricane into my new Everquill, but I Thunderbolted to take it down and we were on our way. Something I didn't realize was that I had collected every single Dark Poison Pokemon in the entire franchise onto my team. This guy was just the first to fall, death number 10. But look, there was no time to grieve a Pokemon that didn't even do anything, as Shelly awaited us just around the corner. Shelly's team was built tough, as Ultra Beast Nihilego, Pseudo Legendary Dragonite, Legendary Tornadus, and Mega Blastoise all threatened to potentially sweep my team. Honestly, the biggest concern here was that Mega Blastoise. Our starter led us into battle, ready to fight. Yon's Giga Drained Mienshao, bringing him back to 185 HP, but I was rocking some mental math to make this perfect. With Nihilego out next, I needed Yawns between 69 HP and 93 HP exactly. Why? Well, as Yawns lands himself at 86 HP and takes down Mienshao, Nihilego has both Meteor Beam and Sludge Wave on its learn set. Meteor Beam sees KOs at 69 HP, and Sludge Wave sees rolls not to KO at 93 HP. Why does this matter? Nihilego is holding a power herb and is incredibly incentivized to click Meteor Beam because of it. If we land in the exact range I just said, we always die to Sludge Wave and never to Meteor Beam. This means we can swap into a steel type like Diesel the Excadrill for free. And we see actually next turn that Nihilego sends the Meteor Beam into the quad-resistant Excadrill because of the way the AI loves that move. I rapid spinned in case Stealth Rocks had gone up instead, and used the speed boost here to pummel Nihilego with Earthquake next turn. Dragonite in next was guaranteed to either Aqua Tail or Fire Punch, with Choice Band locking it into place. Win the Wall Rain was perfect for this matchup. Crack returned to the lineup to tank Acrobatics from Ugly Bad Guy. We did get a static proc, which actually didn't help us. I had to let Tornadus damage us a little bit more to bait out Lantern as opposed to Mega Blastoise in the back. Using Uni to chip the deep sea creature, I swapped into V-Hail, who was pre-damaged to tank Scald and landed Overgrow range. Even burned Leaf Blade always rocked Lantern from here, and the Shell Smash Blastoise that had ruined many runs before didn't have the opportunity to touch me as Overgrow Leaf Storm V-Hail tossed the turtle. That chain kill might have been the coolest thing that I've ever done. That's why they call me the plan guy. Welcome to the team NDS, the cast form. I'm sure I'll get use out of this guy. It was holding the life orb, so there's something to be said for that. The next fight was this crazy rival fight in permanent electric terrain and rain. So naturally, like all other Nuzlockers, I spent 15 whole minutes coming up with a strategy to get through this fight deathless. 15 rigorous minutes of considering math and stuff. But after 15 minutes, I decided to put it to rest. With Pepper and Violet steering this ship, we could do anything. Nay, you're going down. The two opened, and the Protect from Pepper allowed Violet to frag Blaziken, and then Salamence as I switched into V-Hail. V-Hail and Pepper being best buddies and tagging each other in over and over has been a sight to see. What a tandem. The only issue was that Ludicolo weatherballed V-Hail, and the Citrus Berry pulled it out of dead range. Ludi was now going to target randomly. Violet Hurricane Ludicolo, hoping to KO it before it could do that damage, and failed. But Ludicolo got confused. So confused, in fact, that it hurt itself in confusion. But the best part of all this, the life orb chip that it got from hurting itself in confusion. What a great moment. I planned on that. Unfortunately, Metagross targeted Violet instead of finding the finish on V-Hail that it almost always had, but V-Hail tagged Pepper back in and Jans got in for free on Heliolisk's Thunder, so all was well. With both enemies now targeting Pepper with zappy moves, Pepper protected and allowed Jans to Earthquake. Dealing a good chunk of damage to both sides, we were able to switch in Lunar the Electrode while we finished Heliolisk with Giga Drain. This next turn had its risks, but I knew a couple of things were true. Blastoise was always faking out Torterra because Woodhammer always saw a knockout. And Metagross was always eyeing a KO on Electrode with Zen Headbutt. So I Volt switched Electrode out before it could take damage, and Pepper protected while Jans Earthquaked again the next turn. Into V-Hail one last time, Woodhammer finished the Stoice. Deathless, riskless, microwaved rival fight. Hell yeah. Not only had my run made it to Fortree, but I'd managed to do it without bleeding my run into the ground. 10 deaths? Totally doable run from here. I added John the Golisopod to the team and traded our Weezing for Lizzie the Galar Weezing. It was time for the crazy bird lady. And look at her team. Celesteela, Shaman Sky, Mega Altaria. Yeah, this was gonna go well, I think. With Staraptor opening, I rocked with Ale to drop its attack and bait out Brave Bird, which Tom Finn was totally cool with dealing with. Rock Slide burned the Raptor, and we were feeling okay. I switched into Ale on Volcarona, and now I was sweating. I didn't want to see Fiery Dance boost its special attack at all. Anticipating Quiver Dance, I went for a scale shot to boost Ale's speed. It clicked Psychic? What a dumbass. I felled the Volk with Waterfall and invited out Hawlucha. Stone Edge did nothing to Tom Finn, and I asked Lizzie to make her debut on Close Combat. Strange Steam was too much for the Punchy Bird, and we were now staring down that Celesteela. All I got an attack drop on Heavy Slam, and Yellow swapped in on Rock Slide. Now, my plan here was kinda bad. I was ripping Dark Pulses with Yellow and begging for flinches. I tried it like 4 times, and I didn't get one. The good news was that Celesteela didn't crit me with Earthquake, and after chipping it down a whole bunch, I was able to flip turn into Parkle for free. Brave Bird blitzed Celesteela, but then I realized I made a mistake. I was trying to bait out Shaman Sky next. That's what this whole play was about, but I had calculated using the Sharp Beak on Parkle. According to the calculator, Brave Bird outdamages both Shaman and Altaria with Sharp Beak. Without it, however, Flamethrower Altaria outdamages Brave Bird Parkle by 0.1%. With this devastating turn of events inviting out the Mega Form early, my whole line was dead. I let yellow go, and then I sent in Lizzie, who was supposed to do some cool stuff. But we got crit in her first fight ever. Tom Finn, the original Mon slotted to finish Altaria, stepped in. By waiting to Mega Evolve until now, we were able to bait out random move, which meant 66% of the time we wouldn't get Flamethrower. Dodging the Flamethrower and the crit, Tom Finn heavy slammed the beast and only Shaman was left. Parkle swapped in on random move, with Air Slash hitting pretty hard. Another one chipped Parkle some more, and with a 60% chance to flinch, Parkle hit through. Bravebird critical hit was enough to get us through the fight, and we officially claimed our 6th badge. What a disaster. Yellow was probably an okay loss, but Lizzie the fairy type was going to hurt. But hey, the run leaders were by my side still, and anything was possible. Diesel the Excadrill, Parkle the Corviknight, and maybe most importantly, Yawns the Torterra guided us through a shifty next couple of routes. Again, taking no losses through the next dozen trainers or so, we made our way to Lilycove. And we got a few new encounters by the time we got there. Vivillon, Noivern, Kecleon, Kadabra, Toxtricity, and Honchkrow. The next major boss fight was the Lilycove rival, which looked like this. In a devastating and unpredictable turn of events, these fights were not getting easier. And if you look at my box, you'll notice a distinct lack of a Garchomp check. What was I gonna do here? I wish I could see the look on May's face when I unleashed my secret weapon, the Butterfly. Yep, Lauren the Vivillon was gonna counter this Garchomp. How, you may ask? With Ice Beam. No, but seriously, we were taking this thing down with Vivillon. It was a little more ridiculous than that. It turns out that Chomp is guaranteed to click Fire Blast against it, which means that I can use the super secret niche move Powder to explode in Garchomp's face as it tries over and over again to Oko me. I watched Garchomp bleed itself until it fainted. Then Life Orb Weavile came in. Walking Tom Finn in on Ice Shard was super nice, and tanking the knockoff was no big deal. You'll notice that I delayed my Mega Evolution here, even though I was holding the Mega Agronite, to guarantee that Dynamic Punch from Machamp saw a KO. Now, is Biscuit a good counter to Machamp? No. Did I try it anyways? Yes. Leaf Storm didn't do that much damage, unfortunately. Stone Edge was gentle, though, in my return to Tom Finn, and Lauren came into Hurricane, which never misses because of no guard. Using the Butterfly to counter a Machamp was so fulfilling. How satisfying, right? Chillis shocked Galar Articuno through 2 freezing glares, and Blaziken took center stage. I did not like this guy. Rio got close combated, which was awful, but getting back into Lauren on close combat meant we could get up the same silly shenanigans that we did with Garchomp. I would like it to be put on record that Lauren the Vivillon fragged 3 of May's team here. I just needed Crack to get in now to finish Melmetal. With all of Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, and Double Iron Bash to choose from, surely it won't choose the one move that could freeze me here. Thunder Punch! Okay, that's the scariest move, because if this freezes, L plus ratio. That sucks, man. That sucks. That's really tough. All right, well, we're going to stay in for a turn, I think. All right, well, the good news is that I was able to get a paralysis with Static to give us the chance. But yeah, we were frozen, and I'm not going to pretend that I was hopeful we'd thaw out. I don't think I've ever thought out of a freeze. I switched into Rio hoping for a full paralysis, and I didn't get it. Then I had Rio fire off a flamethrower, and we got a full para, so Rio got to survive for another turn. Overheat didn't bring its HP to 0, though, but could I get one more? Nope. Fun drama, but we had just lost Rio the Turtonator. Turt wasn't a crucial mon to have by any means, but losing a shell armor dragon fire type definitely hurt my feelings. And somehow, some way, Wacko 2 stumbled his way into Mount Pyre. Who is this guy? Not only did I get here, but I scaled the entire of the Spooky Mountain without losing a single other mon. The Pyre Tag Throwdown was here. Peachow, let me show you how a pro does it. Guys, that's a reference to Moxie's Run and Bun video. You should go watch that. I actually spent 2 hours trying to play different than the meta here, which is just ripping 2 explosions and accepting that you were never getting out of this death list, only to find out that it was like my only option here. So I really wasn't showing Peachow anything new, except for the fact that I could, in fact, take this down. Henneke, my beloved Skuntank, who had helped with so much before. Explode. Good night, sweet prince. Good job taking 2 down with ya. Muck used to have a name, but chat redeemed a reward to change his name to Let Me Boom. So that's exactly what we were gonna do. Cusstab Muck? Later, buddy. It was real. And with the run hanging in the balance, there was only one mon I wanted anchoring our core. Yawns. Woodhammer clocked the Sharpedo as Stakataka prepared to never do enough damage to take us down. Earthquake chipped it, Giga Drain Venusaur finished it. That was Pyre Tag. And the death count slowly climbed. We did snag a Drifblim on Mount Pyre to compensate for some of it, but losing Mons hurts a little now and a lot eventually. Welcome to Magma Hideout. Wondering how I got here? Same. Still, I thrashed through a few Magma Grunts before running into this guy, Cinderace in Misty Terrain. I have a horrible history of dealing with this thing. With its ability Libero, it's really just tough to account for what's gonna unalive it at any given moment and what's gonna unalive me. And it bulked up 3 times. And then I clicked Thunder Wave in Misty Terrain. Go me! Crag was a good counter here, okay? Surviving whatever was going to be thrown my way just fine. So I Thunderbolted, doing about half its HP, and it set up a 4th bulk up. Another Thunderbolt could get us over the hump, just not the one that I used. Crag played so well too. This was so sad. Crag came to Shell, Norman, Shelly, and who could forget getting frozen against May? And here we were, watching our final moments on the team. So I sent in Ale to Revenge Kill, who may have survived this acrobatics before Misty Terrain kicked in and used up the Misty Seed it was holding, but that was not the case. Oh well, and that was it. The run was over. I found a miracle out, but there was no way I could actually get it. I mean, I sent in Winds to bait out acrobatics, and then I switched to Tom Finn immediately to take chip damage. And you might be wondering why I wouldn't want it at full health, but I dropped my HP ever so slightly, so Cinderace now saw some rolls to KO with Pyro Ball, and every roll to KO with Low Kick. If Cinderace decides to fire off a Pyro Ball instead of a Low Kick here, and then we survive, we could still keep the run alive. 25% chance to even go for Pyro Ball, 50% chance Tom Finn survives Pyro Ball. That's a 12.5% chance to keep playing this stupid game. Tom Finn?
No way. Oh, okay.
Let's go. I can't overemphasize how insane that moment was. The only downside was that Muck came out next carrying Pursuit, and Tom Finn saved the run, but not for himself. This miracle would be enjoyed by those who came after, and only those who came after this moment. A quick eulogy for Ale as well. Gyarados was one of the most consistent Pokemon in the game. Ale had participated in so many important fights. We were going to miss him too. 18 deaths now, but the run must carry on. Into Hell Room. If anyone doesn't know what Hell Room is, welcome to Pokemon Run and Bun. Hell Room is a section of Pokemon Run and Bun with around 10 hard fights in which every Pokemon on your side of the floor is always trapped in permanent Magma Storm, which is synonymous with Fire Spin. The only way to switch your Pokemon out at any times include switching moves like Flip Turn or U-Turn, switching abilities like Emergency Exit, or switching items like the Shed Shell, Eject Pack, or Eject Button. The first casualty of Hell Room was Uni, whose ground prowess was halted by a Toxapex with Liquidation. Uni even tried to crit her way out of it. You have to feel for the frog, who tried her best. The next came in a rematch against Tabitha. This time, she had ditched most of her team from the last matchup outside of Mega Absol, and was opening with Blacephalon. I may have only half-baked this one, concerned that a perfect attempt would take hours and hours to find. I flip-turned with Fired into Priest the Honchkrow and sucker-punched the Blassipoo. Then things got bad. I had built my whole plan around Hitmonlee not clicking Fake Out in hopes it would see a knockout with another move and go for it. But it used Fake Out because it saw a kill with that too, and now Normal Gem was used up, and now Hitmonlee's Unburden ability was active. Double speed, insane physical attacker. What could go wrong? I pivoted so much until Priest was able to sucker punch and finish the guy, but the damage was done. What was I supposed to do here? I let Honchkrow die on account of having no other reasonable plays and sent in Lunar to finish the Mon in front. Volt Switch got Lunar out of there on Snorlax, and then Violet swapped out with this flip turn. Steph's dog, formerly known as Diesel, thanks chat, swapped in to counter Snorlax. I don't know that this was a good idea, but I did get one Iron Head flinch. I didn't get the other. Close combat from Fired was enough to do Snorlax in, and a flip turn on Victini did quite a bit of damage. But after Psychic did so much damage to Electrode, it was completely random move. In need of another sacrifice, it was Violet whose life would crumble before it. What this did was allow John to drop both Absol and Victini, but what a loss. Rest in peace, Diesel and Violet, deaths number 21 and 22. It was time for Magma Leader Maxi. This fight is known for being one of the most difficult in the entire game. Permanent Magma Storm, Permanent Sun, a Legendary, a Mythical, an Ultra Beast, a Pseudo-Legendary, a Mega, and Tangrowth, but in Chlorophyll, so still scary. Insanity, but they don't call me the plan guy. Again, I'm gonna keep saying that for nothing, okay? Who was gonna open up against Groudon? The best Groudon check in the game. Biscuit the Victory Ball. Yeah, that's right. I brought this ugly ass plant to one of the best fights in the game, and I expected it to ball the hell out. And me, oh my, what a Cinderella story, okay? 2017 Isaiah Thomas was in the building, stomping down the Titan Groudon with Leaf Storm and baiting out exactly Flamethrower. And I know calling Victreebel 2017 IT4 is a little ambitious after snagging 1 KO in a big fight, but Pepper was actually burned by Flamethrower and out damaged despite quad resisting the move. So we lost Pepper somewhere far away. V-Hill was sobbing watching his friend go down, but it was Biscuit who would avenge the fallen and invite out Mew. Mew here was a physical attacker, so I asked Drew to help out. And after 1 Psychic Fangs crit, Drew was below half health. 1 head smash did good damage, but then my goat lost it. So again, it was Biscuit who punished the behemoth with knockoff. Houndoom was out next, about to Mega Evolve. Just like 2017 I4, man, Biscuit's run was about to be cut short. Firing off a sludge bomb and leaving the dog with a poison, Biscuit sent a legendary final message that she would not go quietly into the night. But what was I supposed to do here? Houndoom wanted to Destiny Bond. Easy Elite the Noivern wasn't fast enough to just outspeed and bury it, so I did what I had to do. I had Elite Tailwind, making it so he was now faster than Doom. The issue was the Destiny Bond was still hanging over from the last attack. After I roosted and hoped for another turn of Destiny Bond, Doom Dark Pulsed me. Down to 51 HP, Magma Storm chipped off 28 more damage, guaranteeing I would die the next turn. Houndoom fainted from solar power. Tangrowth took the floor. At just 23 HP, the only Pokemon that I could check Garchomp in the back with was about to die. On top of that, Tailwind was in its 3rd turn right now. After 2 turns, Tangrowth would outspeed me. Time was not on my side. Tangrowth had 3 attacking moves: Solar Beam, Hidden Power Ice, and Weather Ball. Roost wouldn't out-heal the damage that HP Ice does, and it would barely stand the damage outputs of a 100 base power fire move Weather Ball and a 120 stab Solar Beam. Still, I didn't have a choice. Elite Roost. It Weather Balled. Elite now survived another turn of Magma Storm, but this wasn't over. Even after that little bit of Life Orb chip, Elite only finished Tangrowth 12.5% of the time with Air Slash. Couldn't roost again and pray because Tailwind dissipated this turn. Even an Air Slash flinch would damn me. Elite, good luck, buddy.
12% chance. That's what it comes down to. 12%.
Holy crap. Oh my god. Ah! With just Garchomp alive, Draco Meteor always KO'd. The battle was won. We were on our way to Aqua Hideout. Biscuit, Pepper, Drew, thank you for your valuable sacrifices. With 25 deaths in hand, I picked up 2 pretty mid encounters in Salamence and Garchomp, you know, nobodies, and prepared for Aqua Hideout. And Aqua Hideout was mostly fine, riddled with Quick Claws and Focus Bands. I was pretty upset when Caracosta Quick Claw Stone Edged Lunar to the Death Box, but that was the only loss. It was a painful one, as fast mons with switch moves are incredibly valuable, especially as you dip into later parts of this game, but it wasn't the end. I don't know if you guys remember, I did talk about having certain Pokemon for later being super nice and how casualties might catch up to us. Looking at Aqua Admin Matt, there's one Pokemon that looks like it's gonna shred me, and its name is Kartana. Maybe a special attacking fire type with shell armor, to be a little more clear, would have been super sick. Because I didn't have that guy, I had to try and build a plan around this Kartana. Let's see how that went. I opened with Elite against Mamoswine on purpose to bait out Ice Shard. Switching to King Kong invoked the Jaboka Berry, a berry that does a little damage to an opponent when they're hit by a physical move. And that broke the focus sash that Mamoswine was holding. This paved the way for Flamethrower to fry it, and Dracovish walked in. I'll be honest, I thought Nigel the Ludicolo would survive Fish's friend a little better than this. Knocking off its Choice Scarf was good to slow it down, but switching into Elite was crazy. This does insane damage. Without that Scarf, Elite was able to roost back up. My plan was to drop Dracovish now as low as possible in HP, and then set up Tailwind, cash in with Air Slash. The only issue was I accidentally crit it with Air Slash the first time, which messed up my ranges, and then I unalived it. This is the only game in the world where getting the finish is a bad thing. Now Dragapult was staring me down and I didn't have Tailwind up and I was scared. I sent in John to emergency exit into Moxie the Kecleon, and yes, Kecleon was the intended counter to Dragapult. No, it wasn't a good idea, but it was, however, very funny. Also, it worked. So, take that. But yeah, now Kartana was on the floor and I had a whole plan built around using Tailwind to outspeed and kill this with King Kong. And I could no longer do that, and any sack that I do is just going to boost its attack. So switching into Elite went bad and boosted Kartana's attack, as I just predicted. And sure, Flamethrower killed it, but Stonk the Mega Chomp died. I no longer had anything for Raikou, and I watched as each and every one of my members fell. For the sake of science, I did run back the same strategy immediately after. Not only did I defeat the battle, but I did it without losing a single Mon. So who knows where the run would have taken us if not for an unlucky crit in my favor. Only I could lose like that. Yawns, I'm sorry we let you down, buddy. You were the best starter ever. Shout out to our Patreon subscribers, our VIP Plus subscribers, Grant, Chad, Tyler, Prita, Jeremy, Kiri, Victoria, and DJ. You guys are the best. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye! This game has changed my perspective on Nuzlocke. Pokemon battles are complex, yet navigable affairs in these difficulty hacks. Heracross, Lantern, and Excadrill have given me nightmares. Let me tell you guys the story of the Blaze Black 2 Redux. Why would that make sense for those fights to be in that order? Get the goddamn furret, dude! I don't want to fight, 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 I didn't prepare. Why? Why is my whole team holding rare candies? Yes! Deathless Roxy, boys. Deathless Roxy, let's go, dude. We're gonna kick this video off right by letting you guys know that this trio of starters is the worst the series has ever released.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
But hey, Shell Armor Oshawott will have to do for now. Now, in most games, a starter pack of Oshawott, Patrat, Pansear, Bellsprout, Mareep, and Spheal would be pretty brutal. Patrat, Pansear, and Bellsprout are useless. Mareep's greatest asset is that it can bait out other electric types later with its static ability, which this one doesn't even have. And then you're left with two mid-water types that literally any other water types would be better than. But this was the standard box headed into gym number 1. They had a charm to them. It was sort of an underdog situation. I couldn't help but pull for our trash mons. I was scared of this Porygon, so I shipped some headbutts from Yesh here hoping for flinches. They didn't deliver, but we picked up the dub anyways as the opponent insisted on workups. Yesh caught another body as Lillipup fell. Finally, Snom the Oshawott got in on the action, drowning both Apom and Munchlax. I even had Bellsprout chip in against Deerling. Nate the Mareep zapped the final Doduo, and this pile of garbage was taking home a badge. Now, Blaze Black 2 Redux makes some real fun changes to the game. One of the most fun, in my opinion, is that Psycho Cut is a 90 base power high crit move. The reason this is so fun, specifically, is because Brawly is the next major roadblock, wielding a bunch of nothing mons and this meta type. Pure Power Psycho Cut meta type rips through almost every encounter in early game. Never mind that Rock Smash is now a guaranteed defense drop, so even if you dodge the move on a walk-in, you're still cooked. I added Electrike, Shinx, and Bulbasaur before taking him on, and prepared to lose. Monferno set up rocks and collapsed to do it. Then I sent in Nugget, the Shinx, who intimidated the Onion Diaper Baby, and then rolled not one, but 2 Psycho Cut non-crits. I was then not dead to Bullet Punch and smoked Metatype. The rest of the team chipped in, but make no mistake, Nugget the Luxio was our MVP already. Oh, and we do get a prize for beating this optional Brawly fight. That's probably an important thing to mention, that I didn't actually have to do this fight, huh? But we got our own Onion Diaper Baby to get use out of ourselves. Yes, I know that it has the same name as our other Yesh. I messed up, but I think I fix it later in the video, maybe. Roxy was the next step in our journey, rocking with her band and some trash. But I had some pretty sweet tech that I was excited to show off here. And while I show you this Nuzlocking strategy that I've never had the opportunity to try anywhere else, I'm excited to show you guys the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark. Guys, this is no fake out. Surfshark is an app and browser extension that lets you place your virtual location anywhere in the world with over 3,200 servers in 100 countries. Just like we use Trick here to steal the focus sash from Trubbish, Surfshark VPN allows you to trick the internet into thinking that you're somewhere that you're not. This is the biggest thing for me, as I'm able to access and unblock websites and content that I wouldn't be able to see otherwise. I like to watch Friends and The Office on Netflix, which aren't available in the United States, so I relocate to an area in which they are available using Surfshark. Force Palm didn't get the paralysis there, which meant I was hoping it didn't blow. Oh, damn it. But just like the focus sash we stole saved our Metatype, you can save yourself from potential dangers on the internet with Surfshark VPN. Your location and download history are private as your data is encrypted. Now I have to get rid of those pesky toxic spikes so I don't share the poison with the rest of my teams. An Ivysaur should help. What I might share, however, is my Surfshark account with my friends. Surfshark VPN has no device limit and encourages family and friends to share an account. Next, Watchdog used Crunch on this Ghastly to remove it. Just like you could remove your Surfshark subscription after trying it out if you don't like it with their 30-day money-back guarantee.
Use my coupon code WACKO to get an extra 4 months on your Surfshark VPN subscription. Again, that's coupon code WACKO, which you can use by clicking the link in the description. Thank you again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Let's get back into the action.
Thank you. Keep clicking that. Ow. Get the speed drop, Heredian! Speed drop! Please. Speed drop Bubble Beam, please, 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 please. Okay. Tixie the Venu finished that guy, and we did very mean things to Roxy's final mon. Yes! Yes, 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 yes. Okay. Give me one more. Give me one more. Yes! That's even better! Holy badge 2. And now the final section of early game, the Berg split. There's a fight with an icy guy who actually isn't that cool at all. We boated over to New York City and collected every encounter in the world, including Dwebble, Coughing, Chikorita, Kyogre, Whismur, Katani, and Perugly. Kyogre was a lie, but I did have the opportunity to get a mythical Victini if I could just beat this one insane double battle. There's a secret fight on an island in Blaze Black 2 Redux only available before the 3rd gym. The prize, a mythical Victini that you can't get anywhere else. The problem is that Bouffalant kills every mon you get up to this point in 1 to 2 hits, and Loudred's boom bursts are blistering. So what did we do? Perugly opened with a fake out on Loudred, and Eevee-like Coughing set up toxic spikes for the incoming opponents. Watchdog had to fall the next turn in Perugly's place, but Lava Plume from Coughing chipped both opponents and burned Bouffalant. Meditite faked out Loudred next turn, allowing Whimsicott to get in. From there, we turned up the heat and punished both monsters. Shedinja fell the next turn to poison, and both Blossom and Musharna collapsed at the hands of Fire Punch. Good night, my beloved Watchog. Good morning, Victini. Good trade? I think so. With a good enough speed stat at level 29, Victini can precede Berg's 2 openers. It's not necessarily likely, but we did get super lucky, and this one did. Perugly faked out Masquerain anyways to stop it from mudshotting Victini. The next turn, our opponents double targeted the mythical, draining it to just 39 HP. We had to get our guy out of there. Snom resisted Bubble Beam on the switch as Perugly wrapped up the Vespiquen. Thank goodness Heracross opted to do nothing the next turn by firing off a helping hand to boost Mudshot on Perugly. Covet finished that one, and Leaveney stepped in. Nickel the Perugly had been on the floor this whole time. Feeling like Tibbs, I was committed to the bit and left it out just one more turn to Aerial Ace Leaveney. A double switch brought Simisear and Dewitt back in, and it was officially time to let our monkey go. Sigh. You played your role, buddy. Switching into Coughing that same turn permitted us to pivot back to Victini as Nickel faked out. Flame Burst from Brook capitalized on Leavanny, and Masquerain perished to Nickel's Aerial Ace. And now, Insanity. Wait, does that matter? Wait, I think that does. Wait, that level up might be... That level up is epic. Dude, that's a crazy level up. Before that level up, Perugly and Victini were speed tied. But now that Perugly is faster, I can use knockoff, get rid of the Akaberry, and absolutely send this Escavalier flying. Good night, Akaberry. Good... Oh my god. Everything in my box evolves now, as the new level cap is 38. The next couple routes gifted us hella encounters, including back-to-back monsters in Samu the Darumaka and Cypher the Golett. And after that, we got Natural Cure Aldino, Technician Mincino, and Pansage. Derek Rose, Carmelo Anthony, Porzingis Ass, Big 3. Okay, at least we added the best Heracross possible for a Trick Room team. We just now needed a Trick Room team. There is now one more major fight before taking on Alesa, the Subway Train Tag Battle with your rival whose team is awful. It's not mandatory to do right now, but waiting to get access to Swampert until after the Electric Gym sounds horrible. Ampharos opened with Discharge to chip our opponents. Dark-type Luxray chugged a Hex the next turn for us as Hugh's Pignite actually contributed with a knockout of Chandelure. The next turn was terrifying as I expected Espeon to Psychic Gem Psychic Pignite. It did not, and Nugget took an Aura Sphere to the dome. Thank God Electros was a dumbass and fired off a Thunder Wave, because that Brick Break would have hurt otherwise. Tixie the Venusaur sent the eel packing and invited out the final Umbreon. Leech Seed primed us for victory, and Fairy Grass Meganium finished the job. We now had our Swampert. The Alesa fight is wild. In a triple battle format, the fight is designed to have the centerpiece Lantern spam discharges, boosting its allies' stats with their abilities being Motor Drive and Lightning Rod. Never mind that Lantern holds Tail Glow just to punish those who opt not to take it out early. Only problem with doing that is Raichu, Stunfisk, and Zebstrika in the back have great coverage. So which of these mons do you want having access to the entire floor? They call me the has this in the bag guy. All right, ready? Zen Headbutt, boom. All right, Rock Slide, boom. All right, Fake Out, boom. Fake Out first, hell yeah. Try and take out a Molja. 81% range, boys, 81% range. Cash out, thank you. I expect Muddy Water here. It could go discharge. That would suck, but it would be okay. As long as we dodge the para. It does go discharge. Leo, specifically, I need you to dodge this para. I need you to, okay? Leo. Leo? Thank you. All right, I don't care anymore. You're fine. Do whatever you want. Leo is trolling, dude. Out came Stunfisk and Zebstrika. I was happy Raichu stayed in the back, but Zebstrika was a cannon too. I swapped out Victini and Crustle for Venusaur and Swampert respectively, but this turn was going to hurt for poor Perugly, who had to stay on the floor to charm the Zebra. That sucks. I think Perugly goes down here. Not to this attack. I suppose we could get Icy Wind. If we get Icy Wind out of Lantern, then I guess you survive. Nope. Tixie dodged it. Nickel dodged it! Holy crap! Only Swampert takes the hit, that's fine. I got Nickel out of there the next turn because it was the right thing to do, letting Nugget out onto the battlefield. Then the worst happened. Sure, Nugget got a Snarl off, but Lantern finally used Tail Glow, boosting its special attack by 3 stages. Another Snarl brought Lantern back down just to +1, but it wasn't enough to stop Muddy Water from drowning Nugget. Our MVP had fallen. Things were looking grim. Knuckle got back into Fake Out Lantern as Raichu E-speeded the Swampert. Sludge chipped Raichu once more, but the mouse lived. The next turn, Zebstrika crit killed Perugly, then Muddy Water dropped Crustle. Raichu fell to the next Sludge. It was now a 3v2. I knew Zebstrika outsped Victini, so I fired off a quick attack to kill it before Lantern dropped its most deadly Muddy Water yet, killing Victini. And then Freshy the Swampert missed Hammer Arm. Magical Leaf did hit, but Freshy's fate was sealed. We kissed the overgrown Axolotl goodbye, and Tixie moved us forward. But all was not lost. We survived, and we got to move on, getting new encounters and taking on Heartbreaker Charles. This fight is usually a clown show, but I'm happy to say we actually handled it pretty easily here. Meganium, Medicham, and Darmanitan were such good openers, destroying the Sigilif and Krokorok and punishing Bouffalant the very next turn. Golurk finally got to make its debut, and boy was I excited about that. This Pokemon has 3 immunities and was bulky as all hell. After taking a little bit of damage, we got Cypher the Golurk out of there, Samurott punished Excelgor with Aqua Jet, and Kern the Meganium dropped Crustle. With only Druddigon left, it was pretty easy to navigate a finish with Fake Out and Sludge Bomb. Added to the team at this point in the game were 6 encounters: Swablu, Sandshrew, Chimchar, Deerling, Corsola, and Tynamo. It was time for a fight in Permanent Sandstorm with Clay. Clay's team was brutal, with Excadrill, Garchomp, and Sheer Force Life Orb Nidoking instilling the most fear in the hopes of continuing this run. Still, I had to give it all I could. My band of misfits opened with Sawsbuck, whose job was not to get crit by Ice Punch the first turn. It worked out, and Seismitoad was conquered. Nidoking out next had me trembling. This was either going to fire off Sludge Wave or Ice Beam, one being significantly better than the other. Corsola tanked both. I switched into Wheezing on Earth Power, which obviously did no damage because I have the ability Levitate, to Samu on Ice Beam, Darmanitan with Zen Headbutt Nidoking, and Flame Wheel the ensuing Torterra. Here is maybe the scariest thing. I was told that if the AI sees a Levitate Mon, unless another ability is demonstrated, it does not ever use a ground move again, correct? Yes? Okay, follow-up question. Does it know about Life Orb or Sheer Force because I didn't take Life Orb damage, or no? An ability did not proc, but it was used. Does it know? I don't think so. Okay. Mamoswine was now using random moves, doing no damage with Ice Shard or Avalanche. Garchomp came out, so I sent Meganium in to slow it down with Bulldoze. I got super unlucky switching into Sawsbuck as Dragonclaw critical hit and killed our deer. Corsola chipped it a little bit, and Wheezing was tasked with saving the run by trying to burn the beast with Lava Plume. That worked out as well. We got our guy out of there and let Chomp die to burn damage on switches, ending on Snob to give us the best chance to counter Excadrill immediately. It Swords Danced, and we used Sacred Sword, and it was official. We had taken down Clay with only 1 death. Tournament time, floaty skyboat, we were headed to Skyla. On the way, we picked up a Kangaskhan. Good? No. One of the very few usable normal types in this box?
unfortunately. The next big roadblock was a showdown with our rival, who opened up with my favorite Pokemon of all time, Swellow. Ooh, it's raining. Ooh, I expected that. Show me superior. Ow. I got good news, guys. Shanks here, Regenerator. Doesn't give a shit about a little bit of damage. Here we go. 1. Can I get a 5 spot? 3 spot is fine, honestly. Oh my god, you're so nice. Oh my goodness. Skilling Corsola. Skilling Regenerator Shell Armor Corsola. Oh my. Darker the Heracross debuted. Fudge Bite. The Guts Boost! I was already slow as shit anyway, Superior. This just helps me out. Thank you very much. Swellow back on the floor. Should I stay in, boys? Should I stay in? Close combat kills from here. I'm gonna go to Shanks. Leer kills from here? Probably. Don't confuse. Nice. This is gonna U-turn? Oh, we're chilling. Who's eating rock? Who's eating rock blast now, huh? Stop critting me with U-turn. It's weird. It's weird that it's happened twice. First time was fine. The electric. Ooh. Nate buried the electric, and Camerup succumbed to Samurott. Swellow U-turned on checks for a 3rd time, and this time on a non-crit, sending in Bug Dragon Flygon, who did not love Rock Blast. Pecan the Altaria finished the beast, and only Swellow remained. Ow. We get a 4 spot, we get a kill. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Gotta think about this next move. We're never dead. Should do 30 damage. We're never dead. For anyone curious, it's holding a metronome. Yes, the metronome. The very popular item that everyone knows about that slowly powers up moves until they ruin your life. Corsola got crit 3 times in that fight and only fell to the final one. Who needs it? Amoonguss and Bronzong joined the team. I was super excited specifically to use Bronzong, a steel psychic type with some real bulk and a cool learn set. Rude. Reflect this up. We got crit. I lose Bronzong after 1 hit. This next fight was insane, and I don't think there's any ROM hack that replicates this nonsense. I'm sure you all remember Pokestar Studios. Now, what if all of these Pokemon in Pokestar Studios were on Colress's team during the gameplay playthrough, and they were all 600 base stat total behemoths that ruined Nuzlocke and happiness? Yeah, that's... Wow, that's what we're doing. Thank God Samu the Darmanitan was max speed and nearly max attack, because it's an absolute cheat code for this one. Down with Godzilla number 1. Godzilla number 2, which that's a lot of Godzillas, was not sniffing Cypher here, and whatever this is stepped in. I Will-O-Wisp that thing, and Weezing could pivot now into Samu, which worked out. Darmanitan versus the Hindenburg was the final matchup. Who wins? I don't have a choice. I have to just stick this out. I have to dodge a crit. It is what it is. Here we go. Yes! Let's go, dude! Hell yeah! Oh my god, I was not looking forward to that Aeroblast, man. Oh my god. Whew. The Bird Gym was our next pit stop. Most of these fights are optionals, which is all good and well, except this meant I had the confidence of Leon Lett storming the end zone. Show me U-turn. 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 Nope. We survived 1 roll of this. Nope, not that one. Rest in peace, Hein B, one of our few remaining fake out users. It's cool. We were gonna have to figure it out. The most complicated thing about this Skyla fight is how flying types operate in triple battles. Triple battles are weird because typically you can only hit the mons directly adjacent to you. Not birds though. The government instituted demons don't care about your Candyland rules. Birds can use bird moves on any mon on the floor at all times, meaning trying to hide a Pokemon like the Mavs tried to hide Kyrie Irving on defense was never going to stop them from attacking the exact opposite corner. Skyla's team was packed full of hurricanes, air slashes, and hell otherwise. Did I have a good answer to any of it? No, but I was hoping I could channel the Ash Pikachu connection and figure this one out. Flare Blitz, Gliscor. Flare Blitz, Gliscor is crazy that this could work out. Cincino could absolutely save itself. It's not like it's guaranteed to die or anything. All right, yeah, that's a 75% range. And then Fake Out on Jump Bluff is what I've got. Fake Out. Gonna stop Jump Bluff from doing its thing. Rock Blast. I need a 3 spot here at least. 1, 2. Got the 3 spot. Do we get the kill? We got a 4 spot. So we do get the kill. All right. We got that roll. Now I need this to kill. If this doesn't kill, we are in trouble. Wait. At level 56, am I guaranteed to kill now? 87.5% chance we kill right now. Please, I'm begging you. I'm begging you. Pull through, Samu. Samu, I need this. Come on, Samu. Cash out. That went super well. These next 3 mons were all eyeing down that juicy Metacham kill, which was a little messed up in my opinion because my Metacham had been very nice to me. This is a hilarious turn. So what I'm gonna do is Rock Blast there. I need that to kill. Jumpluff probably wants to use Hurricane on Metacham. This is what it is. Your job to go into Ampharos here. I'm hoping we can take care of Swanna. There is a chance that if Swanna does not die here, okay, that's going for Ampharos. That's fine. That was kind of good for us. Can I get a 3 spot? Yeah, I do get a 3 spot. Cincino, you're so good. Okay, Jumpluff, I need you to Hurricane on Nate, please. Okay. The next turn, I swap Metacham back in, Rock Blasting Togekiss and Heavy Slamming Aerodactyl. In prime position, I forgot the exact rules that I knew these dumb birds played by. Fake out, Shadow Sneak. Cool. Jumpluff should die here. We should get Hurricane on the left. Get Hurricane. I forgot you can attack across the field. Metacham, good night, buddy. You played well. Irenian Aurora beams the Jumpluff and Cypher Shadow Sneak the final Togekiss. 1 death, 1 badge. Thank you, Skyla, for the 6th badge in the Unova region. Pocket Torkoal and Chandelure as our next 2 encounters before we proceed. I just feel like every benchmark increases the difficulty of this hack by such a huge degree. Why is the next step in this hack a double battle tag gauntlet headlined by a ridiculous showdown with Big Bianca and her 3 starters, Musharna, Mienshao, and a Haxorus. Oh yeah, and I got effing destroyed. I mean, it was fine navigating the first couple of turns. Cypher was carrying with its crazy good type advantage here. Weezing had to take the fake out and Cypher killed Mushy. Then, because the opposing Mienshao hates me, Brother went for Rock Slide. Superior fired off a Leaf Storm, doubling its special attack, and Jerinx flinched. What an absolutely disastrous turn. I got Altaria in next turn, but Mienshao's U-turn crit our current on the way out. Moonblast chipped his Superior, but of course we got the 10% special attack drop on that turn that we would never get if we actually needed it. So Superior was now +3. And Haxorus was now on the field. God damn. It's positions like these that are so interesting in Nuzlocke. I could play games and keep my eye on the ever-fading dream of escaping Deathless, or I could concede the reality that the death of a friend or 2 is going to happen, and I could guarantee the continuation of the run. Torkoal swapped in and chugged a Cross Poison, and Leaf Storm hit like a truck. Zeetsky survived, though. How'd the next turn go? Runes, thank you so much for that, by the way. Oh my god, are you serious? Dude, Miss Leaf Storm. Miss Leaf Storm. This is dude, that's so garbage, man. That's so unbelievably dumb. This has happened to me so many times in this run. Superior died to Shadow Sneak the next turn, and Feather Dance made Haxorus a little more palatable. Embor was now on the floor, so I sent in Snob to help out. Aqua Jet took down the Fireground Embor. Just a few mons remained. Fake out on Snob hurt, but we were never dead to Dragon Claw non-crit. Okay. It's Mold Breaker, so it hits through Shell Armor. With just Bianca's Mienshao and Samurott left, we were able to pivot and dodge crits en route to sending the 2 mons to the Shadow Realm. What did Blaze Black 2 do to my girl Bianca, man? That was an insane fight. Good news is that she's my partner in this cave from here on out, so navigating these little fights wasn't as daunting as I originally thought it would be. Honestly, that Radical Red Silphco tag battle from a couple updates ago scarred my perception of all tag battles I've taken on from then on out. But yeah, we went on a deathless tear and added so many new Pokemon to the lineup once we escaped the cave, including Starmie, Jellicent, Golduck, Lilligant, and Stunfisk. Hugh and his damn Swellow were halting the game progression again, so I made my plan. Life Orb, Psychic Starmie one-shot the Sweaty Swallow, and Leech Seed stalled out a Frisky Eel. Camerupt perished at the hands of Herenian Surf, Kern checked the second Mon in Superior, and a whole bunch of pivots stalled out a Life Orb Flygon. Just Starmie remained. All right! Woo! Don't burn! Crap! Yes! All right, this is a range! Please kill it! Stretches like this where I take no deaths for a while after suffering cataclysmic losses feel so good. The next part of this game has some pretty cool fights, but they're all trivial. Spend a couple minutes preparing, head in and execute. Very interesting moment here too, because traditionally Blaze Black runners reserve this next encounter for the almighty static Cobalion pickup. Actually, if you want to see it in action, Drew's Blaze Black run uses it quite a bit. However, since I played this game well after Drew, the creators have since raised the level of this Pokemon to sit at 80 when you catch it. The Elite 4 level cap for a Nuzlocke of this game is 78, so we didn't have access to it here. We did get a Crobat and Cherim though, which was cool. Did you guys know Benga? I don't. I've never heard of them, but their team is cracked, and dealing with this 6-pack was going to be a nightmare. Starmie opened to check Metagross, but checking Metagross always feels tight. I don't like this. I just click Surf until it clicks Stealth Rocks. Hey, when Ice Punch, okay. I want a Spare Berry just in case. Now, if it clicks Ice Punch again, I recover. If it clicks Stealth Rocks, I click Rapid Spin. Rapid Spin. Now I click Recover. No freeze is great. Recover. Show me Ice Pop. Show me Ice Punch again. Fire Punch is fine. Don't burn. Cool. Cool. Okay. Gyarados comes in. Guaranteed Power Whip. I go here. Guaranteed Power Whip. You. All right, cool. Are we dead to Stone Age crit? We're never dead to Stone Age crit. I click Nuzzle here. Okay, that does suck that it went for Stone Edge now instead of Dragon Dance, and that sucks that it crit. All right, that makes this next play worse. We figured it out. That dies to discharge. All right, that crit makes this next turn awful, actually. I was hoping for Dragon Dance, we didn't get it. If this goes Dragon Claw, great spot. Earthquake, mid spot, and Stone Edge would be brutal. Stone Edge crit is kind of a L plus ratio situation. But Stone Edge is the worst thing it can do. Stone Edge miss, I guess, is good. Here we go. Show me Dragon Claw. Show me Dragon Claw. Please, 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 please. Dragon Claw? Dragon Claw? Okay, didn't get it. Okay. Stone Edge crit would be an L. This starts in the rain? I didn't realize this fight started in the rain. Why is it raining inside? Why do you have a Drizzlemon? All right, well, that's going to change things, unfortunately. This meant her Mantine was now faster than me, so my plan to break Dragonite's multi-scale shield before taking damage was compromised. Manectric chugged a rain-boosted Hydro Pump from Mantine and then switched out. Tafo saw the terrible position we were in and chipped in with not just one, but 2 self-hitting turns. Guys, honestly, things were not going my way. Nate the Ampharos electro-webbed the 2 opponents, and I volt-switched Tafo out for Crobat. Torkoal would then suffer an Earthquake hit, and then an Ice Beam death on the switch-in. At least Altaria was dead to Cross Poison the next turn. Lilligant didn't love being switched into Ice Beam, but she managed anyways. Notice side, all this Lilligant slipped out of the next turn. Rest in peace, Yellow. Deaths, but the run was continuing on. This was the second fight of the run that left us with just 1 Pokemon alive, but at least this time we got a bonus encounter to help replace the fallen. And would I cash in Torkoal, Crobat, Lilligant, Electros, and the relaxed nature of the team? We were trying to take down Drayden next. I did a little tier list real quick. Did you guys know Seaking is the best Generation 1 Pokemon? I had no idea until I finally ranked him on paper. The next fight was against Drayden, and it was a double battle. And look at this team. This is bananas. There's no way I'm beating this deathless, but I was gonna try anyways. I was bringing a pretty good team. 3 fairies, including Altaria, Meganium, and Audino. And it's not like Golurk, Cincino, and Lapras were slouches. I opened up this fight with some pretty niche and innovative tech. I gave my Cincino a Figgy Berry, which only confuses Pokemon that have a minus attack nature. Oh, I meant to go Hearthstone here, but it's okay. We're fine. Oh, do you just kill? No, you're chilling, you're chilling, you're chilling. Good job, buddy. Let's go! Cincino dies, it's okay. I went Figgy Berry. I thought I went Wiki. All right. I literally swapped it out. All right, yeah, so that turn sucked. Good news, Shadow Sneak killed Latias, and Cincino snapped out of confusion so it could land the 2 spot on Charizard with Rock Blast and then die. Astro, you were a failure. With Sceptile coming out, I sent in Audino, whose Draining Kisses weren't doing a ton. Pekonda, Altaria set up a Tailwind, while Audino heal pulsed the Puffy Bird back to full health. I sacrificed Audino to gain momentum, and with 2 Mons Bulky and Tailwind boosted, we were able to defeat Charizard and Haxorus. The problem was that I absolutely needed Tailwind back up to win this thing. So I dealt with the next turn, praying we didn't see a double target on Altaria. Sceptile did nothing to Meganium, and Flygon's attack left Pecan alive and well enough to set up Tailwind again. Meganium then smoked Flygon, and Lapras switched in. Mence was out. Now I just needed to dodge Leaf Blade crit from Sceptile. Should be Leaf Blade from Sceptile, which is gonna suck, or Acrobatics. Acrobatics would be great. You can go for it. Don't crit. Please hold, please hold, please hold, please hold, please hold. Lapras, thank you. All right, cool. We get the Berry proc. This is the last spawn. We're going to make it past. Thank you for gym badge number 7, Drayden. Boom. Crazy snowstorm that made Opaloosid super cold and a bunch of useless grunt fights along the way. Now, I'm not going to pretend that these are all fights worth breaking down, but there was one that was pretty important. Ow. Don't double crit. Come on! That is... 1 in 256 chance, boys. Cypher was so good too. That one hurt so bad. Whatever. We didn't have time to grieve. Marlin was waiting for us. There was a little hitch in that plan though, because I absolutely had to do the optional Tate and Liza fight. It's an 8v6 against their psychic types. But if it's an optional, then why am I saying that I had to do it? Well, because they gift you maybe the most powerful move in the game. Protect. Protect is so important for double battles and Nuzlocke. Made a move on the side you're protecting, attack with the other to get through fights. And in order to win this game, you need to get through the Elite Four, which is exclusively double battles. So there was no world in which I could afford to pass this up. So we went in with double monkeys, hoping the 2 could overcome all obstacles. Flame Wheel, Power Whip. I need you to hit this. So kill Mr. Mime. Thank you. I need this power up to hit. This is so important. Thank you. All right, cool. We kill Claydol. Sweet. Simisage doing work. All right, Lunatone's out. And Solrock is out. Can I beat Solrock with... No, Solrock cannot beat anything. So I'm going to burn Solrock. I'm going to power it. I need you to hit this. I need another one. Come on. Thank you. Great hit. It's good. Please hit this. Thank you so much. Oh my God, coming through for me right now. Huge, huge, huge stuff. We leave Solrock alive now. We don't worry about Solrock at all. Solrock is a non-issue. When Flare Blitz, that's fine. Is it a fire type in this? No, it's just Rock Psychic. We're chilling. It did a lot more damage than I thought it would. All right, Executor comes out. Can I kill that with Darm? I can definitely kill that with Darm. No way I can't, yeah. All right, Flame Wheel. As much as I would love to stay in, I think that I should switch out. I'm gonna go to Starmie. I think Starmie's the best call for me. All right, show me Flare Blitz, please. Don't aggro me, please. Flame Wheel. Nice. Death looks Executor. Great looks. Flare Blitz. No, an aggro. That sucks. That does weaken it significantly though, so that's a good thing. Jinx comes out. Traces Sheer Force here. Okay, so it's Sheer Force. Oh, it never sees a kill on Starmie. It never sees a kill on Darm either. I think I double target here. No. Yeah, this is the right call. Recover here. Do this. Hello, Brooke. How you doing? I could get punished for not playing aggressive here, but we'll see. Okay, I went for my boy. Darm, please hold. Hold. Stop. That's a crit. I lose Darm. Darm's been so good, man. And with that, the run had added a 23rd casualty, and maybe the most vital one so far. Samu wasn't good, he was legendary. Starmie collapsed as well, but Chandelure and Jellicent buried the final Medicham. Protect was in our hands. Was it worth it? We had nearly as many deaths as living Pokemon at this point. So I guess it depends on how far we make it, right? Again, we got Protect, and that's the most important thing. How important? Watch our first turn versus Marlin. Turn 1 is pretty bad. Turn 1 is pretty bad. See that little blue guy over there? The little blue guy with the fists and the suspicious lack of a mouth. How does he eat? I'm counting on you, buddy, to try and punch my Relicanth here, okay? And I'm gonna Leech Life the Ludicolo. All right, show me the money. Come on. Yes! Now use Giga Drain! Yes! Great first turn! The next turn I had Relicanth take that close combat on the nose as Parasect protected to save itself from Hurricane. The next turn was a hard double switch, which stressed me out because double switches, if not executed perfectly, can be a great way to improve momentum. I had Fox Protect while Geo tanked a critical Hurricane from Kingdra so it could chip Poliwrath with Shadow Ball. Being slower than both of these Swift Swim mons was so draining. I got Fox out of there so I could use its synergy with Geo to get the Jellicent off the field the ensuing turn. The double target on Parasect as I protect and take no damage when I want to. This burn was hopefully going to serve us well as we slowly chipped away at Kingdra. I pivoted through Daniel the Duck and Volt Switch Rotom Wash out. The best part of Daniel the Duck was that it was also Swift Swim as the opponents were, so it was able to outspeed and kill Kingdra as I swapped Rotom Wash back in to be ready for the 2 rounds that would come next. Poliwrath kissed the floor goodbye, literally, which actually ruined my whole day. I was planning on having Rotom Wash on the floor to use moves, ideally. Now, I couldn't do that anymore, so I stalled the turn, knowing that both moves are gonna go after Duck. I protected. The next turn, Parasect was in trouble. Actually, yes. You're here. Plus, Dry Skin will bring you back up to health. So theoretically, this works. Can I get effects? No, it's not effects burst. Dry Skin. Hello. As long as this doesn't para, I feel really good about where we're at. Okay. Yes! The first turn, wake up, get the kill! It's a roll, please! Please, I'm begging you! Please! Oh! Para! No! Rock Slide had me trembling, as a flinch here would be devastating, but Fox hit through and smoked that Starmie. Now it was a 2v1. I sent Relicanth back in to bait out moves and protect. The first turn it worked, but we didn't get the paralysis, so we had to bank on things going right again. I didn't actually do the calcs. You're fine on Waterfall, right? Dead to crit. I'm risking crit here. I win Rock Slide. It's okay, just don't crit Lapras, don't crit Lapras, don't crit Lapras, don't crit Lapras. Thank you, don't flinch, don't flinch, don't flinch. Deathless Marlin. Okay. All right. Whew.
After defeating Marlin, he told me that even though Team Galactic stole my rival sister's Pokemon, it's still worth seeing their perspective and that he wouldn't take a side because he had to think for himself. This is called being an asshole. Still, he helped locate the Flying Dutchman's boat, which I guess was nice. We cleared that boat pretty handily, and the final fights before getting off the ship were going to be Colress, who we had no issues with, and now the Shadow Triad. The first of the triad was a cakewalk. We shredded that double battle. The second, however, was a hard miscalc. Calc is calculator for short, chat. I'm using slang. I planned for a triple battle, and I'm convinced that I would have had that win, except the next fight was not a triple battle, but rather a rotation battle. How did I do in the surprise late game rotation battle? Well, I fire punched first turn and killed Bisharp, which was cool, but then Basculin came out. And sure, we predicted well and psychic the fish as it wave crashed the duck we pivoted to. But the next wave crash from Basculin didn't knock itself out from recoil, and every mod on the floor was dead to the next wave crash. So I swapped Swalot, and who ate a wave crash and did a great job, but that didn't really help us because Basculin's still out and in building Tumblr, except for Infernape, right? So I switched to Infernape and I clicked Fire Punch because that was the smart thing to do, and it switched to Venomoth, which was fine because Fire Punch does a lot of damage to bugs, but then it survived with a Focus Sash, and it clicked Sleep Powder, and then my only Pokemon capable of killing Basculin before it could get off into the wave crash was now asleep. So we were screwed. So I switched to Swalot, expecting to get wave crashed, except Venomoth used Sludge Bomb and crit dreamed the Swalot, and it was Tinted Lens. So Swalot died. And then Psychic Bulldog finished the job. So that was good. But now Gengar was out. And sure, overheat on Swords Dance Ninja out meant there were only 2 Pokemon left on the Triad side, but I just have my Rotom's special attack. So I switched to Dengel to fight on the Psychic, but Gengar rolled the one move that killed us from that health. Good night, Daniel. I'm sorry, buddy. With Current the Meganium now out front, I bet that Gengar would go for Sludge Wave. Rotom Heat, use Volt Switch. Watch this wave crash. I swear to God, if this wave crashes right now. Shut up! That is so insane! From there, it was a bad guessing game. Supposed random AI would use exactly the most damaging move on every pivot I made for the rest of this fight. Sludge Wave on Infernape? Check. Shadow Ball on Chandelure? Check. Aura Sphere to kill Infernape into Sludge Wave again to bury Kern? Check. The run was over. Blaze Black 2 Redux has been changed dramatically since it was first released. I'll be tackling this game live again starting in early July. Be sure to check the streams out as we try to finish the job. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you to our Patreon subscribers. You guys are the best for helping make these videos happen. Kiri, Dream, Jeremy, Prita, Tyler, Chad, Grant, our VIP Plus subscribers. You guys are the GOATs. Check out some of the other runs on our channel. Bye. This is the closest ROM hack to Radical Red that we have ever seen. Introducing Emerald Imperium, maybe the most all-encompassing ROM hack we've seen since Radical Red. With Pokemon up through Generation 9, harder fights, and expansion content like new Megaforms and a modified storyline, this game is a Pokemon Fanatics dream. In order to explore this new hack, I attempted a hardcore Nuzlocke. And if you're just here to learn about a new hack, I promise I'll try to cover every feature this hack has to offer along the way. The title screen is gorgeous, but the run begins in classic Hoenn fashion. I have been locked in the back of a moving truck. The Radical Red options prompt was presented and I chose normal mode over easy mode. Obviously, I'm the hardcore guy. If we ignore the innate ethical dilemma of shoving 10-year-olds into moving vans, things are quite nice once we arrive in Little Root Town. Mom is here, dad's on TV. The first thing I noticed to be different is that Professor Birch is now a globalist. Choose any starter from the history of ever? Count me in. I chose the best one, Chespin, and I started paving my way north to explore the region and what differences I could find. There's definitely some weird Pokemon in the grass, but outside of that and the extra Nurse Joy that sits in the Pokemon Center and offers to change your natures, things were pretty standard. Also, it's raining on Route 102, and my Pokemon's following behind me. Can I just say, there's a ton of ROM hacks that implement this follower sprite feature, but none do it like this game. I didn't find a single Pokemon without a follower sprite throughout my entire playthrough. It was incredible. Once in Petalburg, I ran up to Dad, who had a Slaking following him around. While he caught a Ralts, Petalburg Forest was actually really normal, and we were headed to the bridge in Rustboro.
Dawn? Hello? This storyline takes its first twist here as rival Dawn tries to stop us from entering Rustboro. And we get a peek at some interesting AI mechanics on the first turn as Baniri waffles back to Noibat on the Rock Smash from Micro Brawler. It was fine. Slowpoke thwarted the Brawly Bat's brutal bludgeoning, inviting out Piplup. Here we learned about another important AI mechanic. If the opponent is slower and sees that it's gonna die, it will slam a priority move to at least get some damage off. But yeah, Chespin clapped Piplup and Crabrawler finished the Baniri. Rustboro, baby, it's a whole city and it looks just like it always has. And while normally Roxanne serves as the next obstacle here, we got a different first fight for you that you probably weren't expecting. Rourke. Posting a team of Shieldon, Tyron, and Cranidos, I wasn't super threatened. Crabrawler trivialized Shieldon and Cranidos, and a leech seed into a whole bunch of pivots brought down Tyron. Great news, there's no anti-cheat AI, so I never have to worry about switching too much like I would have in Radical Red. We got the Rock Tomb TM as well as the Muscle Band for completing this fight. Side note, getting Bronzor in what's traditionally known as Whismur Tunnel is a hilarious switch up. With a hard level cap at 15, I prepared to take down Roxanne. And we were going to be putting Roxanne to sleep here, just like the sponsor of today's video has been putting me to sleep. Dream. Embrace better sleep for a productive year. Sleep plays a major role in productivity, whether that's at work, working out, or in my case, trying to beat my best attempt at a Pokemon challenge. On the surface, Dream is a nighttime blend in sleepy hot cocoa, but on the inside, Dream is packed with all natural ingredients like melatonin, magnesium, L-theanine, and reishi mushrooms that support all 4 stages of sleep. Dream is third-party tested and clinically shown to improve sleep. For me, this has been exactly the case. I've been using their cinnamon cocoa flavor, which is delicious. There are several options to choose from too if you'd like to try out something else. It's a cozy nighttime routine with 15 calories only. With electronic distractions at every turn, I've been using Dream to unwind after a long day and really get my sleep schedule consistent. Click on the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen and use code WACKO to get up to 35% off your order today. Again, that's code WACKO for up to 35% off of your order. All you have to do is click on the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen. Thank you to Dream for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back into taking on Roxanne here. Roxanne was tough, swapping from Rhyhorn into water-absorbed Paldean Whooper immediately. Bronzor walled this little guy and confused it over and over until it perished. Chespin was too tough for Nose Pass, and Gligar swapped in next. The ground flying type served a stark contrast from what I'm used to seeing on Gym 1s, but Corphish was good enough to bring that home. Only the opening Rhyhorn remained. Against the rock, I used Smash, and we were on our way to Brawly. Now the plot here is similar to the usual as we hunt down the Aqua Grunt that yanked the Devon goods as well as Pico and return to Rustboro to receive the Pokenav. What's different is that the rival fight south of this town is no longer optional, but rather a mandatory throwdown of real consequence. Bronzor was a pretty healthy check to Golbat, but Liepard had to Sucker Punch to hammer us home. I tried using Leech Seed to punish Combuskin, but it switched out. Update, AI does not like being leech seeded and will switch out at any opportunity. Also, Kubfu is on the floor, which I beat with Mighty Enna. This whole sequence has been a disaster, but the run continues on. Crabrawler chipped Combuskin, which Corphish was able to finish, and the final Hatchrim waltzed in. It's gonna be ugly. Show me Psybeam. Oh, okay. I'm gonna Torment here. Oh, okay. Because I knew that. This is ridiculous. What? What is going? Okay, I'm just gonna. You piece of work! Why? Will I ever get to attack? Who knows? I'm killing this thing with Sucker Punch right now. It's dead. Give me one! How many times did I just... Dude, I got farmed. That's crazy. Whatever. Liepard sucks. Mighty Enna rules. And while I had just lost my first Mon, I was feeling good about things so far. With my heart full and my brain empty, I asked Gardania if she wanted to get lunch sometime. She proceeded to nuke my entire run with her Roserade. I sold the bag. It wasn't even a mandatory fight. I just opted to get my ass kicked. Attempt 2. I plowed through the early game and only stopped to smell the roses for a moment. Snakewood Bulbasaur. It's because you didn't love him enough. That might be true. Dude, he's still... Dog, are you okay? Why are you white? Back to Gardania. I elected to leave that demon the hell alone. She did not treat me well, and I am moving on. Instead, I made it to Dewford, where there was an outdoor market, and Steven Stone was still in his little cave. Now, I had no means to deliver the parts to Slateport yet, as the grunts now blocked the entrance to the shipyard until I defeated Brawly. Alright, whatever. I'll go take Brawly on now. What the hell is that? Rey Mysterio's a lot mousier than I remember him being. Ivysaur sapped up all of his Pika Juice with Mega Drain, and Girder walked in. Butterfree put this guy to sleep and two-shot it, inviting out Lycanroc. You know what beats Lycanrocs? Little spaghetti boys. Take that. Alolan Sandslash on Brawly's team for a little variety threw me for a loop, but Gyarados made it into a chew toy, and the final Hairy Mama guarded the pearly second gym badge front and center. Butterfree beat the snot out of it. Psybeam went crazy, but with the risk of waking up imminent, it was Throw who would have to deliver the final blow. Badge 2, baby. We're on a roll. Now I got to speak with Captain Stern, which was nice. And the fight in the museum made me think, but not for longer than a moment as we rocked the Water Boys. Drake of the Elite Four said hi to me at the exit, which was different. I don't think I've ever seen his sprite outside of the Elite Four. It was 110 rival time, and oh boy, Brendan has a Crobat. It U-turned, so I set up rocks to mitigate what has been a very switch-happy AI, and I got my first KO on Whimsicott. Kubfu was still hanging around like your friend's annoying younger brother, but had no capability of dealing with my throw. And then it switched out. This whole new opponent everything is getting on my nerves. I crushed Crobat with Rock Tomb, and despite my intentions of conquering Combustion and Swanna, once again the AI countered me. What a circus. Eventually, Gyarados took down Metang, Throw throttled Kubfu, and Swanna got its check-in on Combuskin. Maybe a lengthier fight than it needed to be, we prevailed towards Mauville. I should note that there were several mini-bosses that I'm not covering as I tell the story here. With a few extra legitimate optionals in between every section of the game, there's no opportunity to turn your brain off. In Mauville, I found the Stat House, where in a standard playthrough of this game, you could modify your EVs and IVs. Also, the bike guy here gives us both the Acro and Mach bike, so no need to go back for one or the other if you're in a pinch. We ventured east of Mauville to snag a good rod, grabbing a couple of water encounters, and plunging into the Wally fight prior to Watson's house. And Wally is a real trainer that you need to plan for, but outstanding performances from Golisopod, Swanna, and Togekiss stomped him out. Probably relevant, that Togepi was a gift from the Rustboro Pokemon Center a while ago, and I used Pomeg berries from Dewford's Market, plus the shiny stones given by my rival on 110 to evolve it. Preparing for Watson was weird because the hard level cap at 34 means I can't get every Pokemon to fully evolve. Looking at you, Palpitoad! And I was about to walk into that gym when I remembered something. Gardenia was still sitting idly in Petalburg Forest. And why was that relevant? Well, not only did she beat me up last time, but Gardenia's team gets stronger if I take her on after Watson. Now is when she's the most vulnerable. I needed my revenge. And my goodness, did I take it. Flinching the opening Roserade and clearing it in just 2 hits, this fight was wrapped for poor Gardenia before it even started. I almost felt bad when we snagged the Eviolite from her. Watson next, I matched up pretty well against the opening Deden. Well, I would've if it didn't Volt Switch out. Combining this AI with Volt Switch is diabolical, but I'm proud to announce that even though we had to take on a Mega Luxray, Golisopod was able to one-shot the Dark type with First Impression. We stopped on this fight, barring the final Vikavolt, whose coverage was just super awkward to deal with. Weighing my options, I elected to let Dreadneasy go, and had Golisopod pick up the slack. 3 badges in, we had just taken our first death. And the game gets crazy from here. I have never seen a game with this kind of difficulty curve. Usually games are easy or hard start to finish. This game lulls you into a false sense of security before, boom, dead Roserade. This Azu fight was part of a series of fights in the beach house just outside Slateport. By defeating these 3 trainers, we received our next gift Pokemon, Charcadet. The super cool guy turned into the Ghost Fire Pokemon Severedge and promised to be an excellent addition to the team. I mean, it's clicking Flash Cannon, right guys? Yeah, this is Flash Cannon. In this moment, 2 things happened at once. Severedge died, which like, boo, you know, that sucks. Also, this is one of 2 Mega Empoleon forms. The Great Wall of Penguin did me in. How did this happen? This was in the second Dawn fight I'd run into, as she blocks my pathway north to Flan's Gym,
But great news, though, after defeating Dawn, it was now encounter time. Oh! 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 All right! Insane pull. I should let you guys know you do get the shiny charm at the beginning of the game from Mom, but it's still super rare to find shinies like this. We grabbed a Darumaka and a Slackoth en route to Falarbor, where the game got super radical red coded. Starter eggs are back, baby, and they're just as good as they've always been. I hatched a couple and used the ability patches you receive at this point to secure some hidden abilities. There were some optional trainers that needed to be taken care of, but the story maintained mostly the same. Meteor Falls showdown, and then all of a sudden, I'm next to a volcano fighting for the survival of Earth. And here is the quickest, most brutal difficulty spike in the game. What do you mean I'm fighting a rock immune Mega Centiskorch in a double battle? I did take it down, and then Paldean Tauros fell, and Contrary Superior as well. Taking down the right side next through Cradillium Bombardier, only Iron Thorns remained, who I was able to graciously navigate with my big strong Venusaur. Tabitha next wielded a bunch of beefy threats, capped off with a Mega Houndoom. Throw tanked the hell out of a flamethrower from that dog to clock it, and the rest of the fight was trivial. It was Maxi time. Maxi has a Mega Camera and a Choice Specs Chi-Yu. What's a Chi-Yu? Gigalith opened and exploded on me for no reason at all. And then we got Chi-Yu immediately. Who beats Chi-Yus? Gyarados? Maybe? It switched into Cacturne for Water Absorb. Bro. Togekiss swapped in for me, and then back to Gyarados. Bulldoze was enough to conquer the evil Goldfish. And after a little navigating, I was actually able to drop Colossal with a flip turn and take down the final Mega Camera with Gyarados as well. Maxi left Mount Chimney, and then Drake once again made a guest appearance. Why was he traveling the whole region with me? I don't know, I just assumed he was trying to help out with the bad guys. Down to Flannery Land, I passed Maylene and skipped over the Eevee egg that you can get from this town. Flannery was waiting for me with her shiny Infernape, and I was committed to giving her the business. And once again, things got pretty switch heavy as Ninetales switched to Rotom, switched to Scovillain. Giga Drain did quite a bit to Typhlosion. I was pretty surprised, but also confident that Typhlosion could tank a Scorching Sands. Wrong. I was very wrong. It just died. And I know it had Life Orb, but goddamn, I had 100 HP. With Sun finally down and Chlorophyll deactivated, I thought I could take it out. But more swapping from Flan kept her in the driver's seat, with pivot after pivot stalling me and my HP out. The nail in the coffin was Flannery's Infernape, Mega Evolving. Adaptability 145 base attack Infernape was just way too much for any single mon to take on. In hindsight, I should have let something die and moved from there, but you know, hindsight's 2020, and I clearly was not good enough when this happened. I'm good enough now. Swampert did tank close combat and gave us the KO, but there was just far too little juice left on this team to take specifically Ninetales on, who survived Power Gem Starmie with 1 HP and completed the takedown of my team. Attempt 2 had ended brutally, but I was proud of the progress we had made, and the game had become consistently harder as I played. I needed to know how much harder the game got from here. I decided to drop the Nuzlocke portion of my playthrough here and scout out the rest of the game from a Nuzlocking perspective. I had to know what Norman had in store, but I ventured there only to get turned down, as the Trick House was now a mandatory part of the story. In this game, the Trick House is a 9-trainer dungeon with the grand prize of a Mega Ring, and using that Mega Ring, you now get access to all of the different Mega Stone evolutions you'd collected throughout the gameplay. And there were more to collect, like the Gyarados and Dreadnought from Crash or Wake that you can challenge once you get Surf. The only thing to do now is beat Norman so I can get it. This fight is nuts, just absolutely nuts. Mind Eye Blood Moon Ursaluna hits ghost types and makes life suck. And even if you beat it, what's in the back? Mega Slaking. What? Who thought this guy needed a statin ability boost? Norman's squad is comically difficult, and taking it down Deathless took a lot of risk, but I ended up stalling out Slaking's Earthquakes to defeat it with Ceruledge and powering us through badge number 5. Surf was actually located in a mini trainer gauntlet in the desert, which was a fun little change, and Steven Stone met us on the other side of the Mauville Beach, where he usually is. Waltzing over to the Weather Institute, a Mega Machamp double battle served a roadblock to defeating Shelly. I asked Swanna to no-guard Hurricane the Mega Monster as Fake Out Rillaboom took care of Armaldo. I was in awe as I found out Machamp's ability, Aura, was Parental Bond? Stop! Skill Link Armaldo murdered my Swanna, but Golisopod rocked both Ogurpin and...
can't say Ogurpin in the video. Ogurpon and Greninja. After taking down that side, I had to roll through Armaldo, Iron Jugulus, and Starmie. The only Pokemon that survived was Golisopod. My GOAT strikes again? Shelly's team was pretty tough, with Choice Specs Keldeo being the real killer, but after conquering that with relative ease, our next big fight was against Brendan on the British Fortree. Metagross, Urshifu, and Mega Blaziken were a crazy trio. How these fights kept scaling to be harder was beyond me. Dreadnought sent the opening Crobat back to its maker, and I asked Furcoat Walrein to ticket us through a punchy Metagross. Brian actually worked, but Blaziken was next, and wanted to Thunderous kick me. I don't know what that move does. Well, I didn't anyways until it hit me and my defense dropped, which in an effort to better communicate my feelings I will share with you, made me sad. But look at this little guy take a Blaze Kick next turn and actually one-shot it with Psychic. Brilliant plays by this guy. Venusaur sapped up all of Basculegion's health except for one, which meant Venusaur was now taking a Life Orb Ice Beam on the dome. It worked. But is Tangrowth a good check to fighting Dark Urshifu with Ice Punch? No. Is Tangrowth my check to fighting Dark Urshifu with Ice Punch?
Yes!
Oh, well, not really. Aqua Jet rocked it, though. Sludge Bomb Venusaur took out the final Whimsicott, and the fight was over. That was tough as hell. Kecleon Gaming with a new level cap of 68. I braced myself for the Winona fight. The major threats from her squad were going to be Aggron, Flygon, Thundurus, and Mega Altaria, but I was bringing a squad. Passimian with Punch 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 took out Aggron, inviting out Thundurus, and Thundurus took a couple mons to take down, including Venusaur and Electros, but a masterful performance from G took down Mega Altaria all on its own. The final pieces of Winona's team crumbled by the hands of Cerulege and Walrein, and Badge 6 was in hands. And now we reach a point in the game where Emerald Imperium really becomes its own beast. Instead of being a standard ROM hack of Pokemon Emerald, we get a completely new story with a different sequence of events. Dawn challenges us in Lily Cove using her Mega Empoleon to halt us in our tracks before letting us double back to Mount Pyre. There we meet Maxie, not Archie, who is acting alone at the top of the temple. And the next step isn't to chase after him, but rather to head straight into Aqua Hideout to take down Matt. Except Matt's no longer here, Archie is, with Iron Bundle and Mega Sharpedo. Good God. Golem was strong enough to wall the opening Overquill, and getting Golisopod in on Aqua Jet was a brilliant way to one-shot the angry shark. Demon in, I asked Walrein to beat it with Rock Tomb. I was getting pummeled, and I was not doing enough back to it. It's okay, when nobody got me, Venusaur got me. Right, guys? Right, guys? Golisopod had to take care of things from there. Tangrowth walled Poliwrath, Golem sacrificed himself to take down the Electros, and the final Basculegion couldn't sniff Tangrowth either. After beating him, RG jumps into the water and escapes on the submarine anyways. What was the point of fighting? He just did what he wanted to do in the first place. The next step for us in the game was to defeat the Gauntlet of Trainers on the way to Moss Deep, which was a really unique and challenging twist to what's normally just an open ocean with some stray trainers. At some point during the conquest of this entourage, however, someone informed me that I could double back to Baron and secure a free Melton? What? Yeah, I wanted that. He did have a Mega Caparaja, which was crazy, but we secured the little guy and made him into a big scary Melmetal at the touch of a button. Have you ever taken on Tate and Liza, except they have 2 Megas and some Legendaries and Paradox Mons? Actually, I think this is my second time. I think Run and Bun did that too. By sending out Rillaboom, I was able to set grassy terrain, enabling Golisopod to defeat Iron Leaves with First Impression, and letting Rillaboom fake out Tapu the very next turn. Pin Missile did a ton of work on Farigiraf, dropping it with 3 hits. I'll be honest, I thought Sucker Punch would knock this Mega Alakazam out. I was wrong. Also, I did not think Moonblast would one-shot Rillaboom from 75% HP. I knew it was +1 after Calm Mind, but oh my god. The next turn, Tapu Lele sold the bag and tried to set up again. Double Iron Bash blitzed the Behemoth, and the second Mega walked in. With both super Pokemon staring me down, I thought Melmetal might survive a Focus Blast from Alakazam. I now think that I'm an idiot. I used Incineroar to fake out Mega Kangaskhan, and Shadow snuck the last of Sam's HP. Will-O-Wisp burned Kanga, and a combination of Golisopod, Cerulege's chips, and Smant's kind words guided us through. There was a turkey after that, but we don't have to talk about it. This was badge number 7. After defeating Tate and Liza, the story takes you into the Moss Deep Space Center. You might be expecting the classic double battle with Steven, but Drake actually took your place and did the fight for you. Maxie got away, and the two dispersed to, I don't know, wherever. Once in Magma Hideout, the challenge is vastly different than the vanilla game. While it's normal to see Tabitha here, this time she's teamed up with Courtney for an 8v6 back-to-back battle. No heals in between. Your task is to take down 2 tough teams of 4. And Gollum showed out for us, clocking Senna Scorch, letting Togekiss take on Superior and Starmie Rock Komodo, and certifying our victory with a mean Rock Tomb on Talonflame. The second fight was a little different, as Tabitha opened with a mouse that was way faster than I thought it would be. Faster than Starmie? Really? Also, I know Primarina is not the most physically defensive Mon, but this is a wild one-shot. My new best play was to just go back to Gollum, which also did not work. My team was on the brink of losing this one, but then I locked in. If this was a Nuzlocke, how would I get out? Well, I would swap to Gyarados for the Intim drop, and then send in Throw to stop up damage like the tank he is. From there, I would fire off a Bulldoze to do as much damage as possible, and potentially manipulate the AI into sending out a ground immune Mon in the back. Storm Throw the next turn gave me that exact interaction and a knockout on Hydreigon. Emboar was here. I outsped it and one-shot it with Aqua Tail. I couldn't afford to let Palmot chip Throw on a pivot, so I sacked Togekiss here for momentum and took the Palmot out the next turn. Tabitha's ace was all that remained. The Mega Houndoom clobbered Throw, and it all came down to this. Comes down to not Zam. I'm gonna Bulldoze and then I'm gonna Aqua Tail. I don't know what this secondary effect is. I completely forget, but this is a scary move to see. Flinch chance? Good God, don't flinch. Hold, hold, hold. Thank you, okay. Am I faster? Can I just kill? We're through, okay. Oh my God. One Pokemon left alive, but we're through. Bleeding through the admins, Maxie's team was next. And it was not easier. Between dealing with Incineroar, Chi-Yu, Mega Camerupt, and the water immune Primal Groudon in the back, it did take me 2 tries to get through this insane fight. I had to leave Incineroar up for most of the fight and chip at the left side so as to stop Desolate Land from canceling out my water type endeavors on Mega Camerupt. Once strategically handled, I meandered into Steven's house for the dive HM and went for a little snorkel, a little swimmy guy I am. Boom, I'm in a cave. Bang, Matt and Shelly are giving me the parallel 8v6 to what I just dealt with in Magma Hideout, and it's significantly easier, but still scary. After clearing that one, we made it to the final bad guy fight, a double battle against Archie. Wielding a Primal Kyogre and a bunch of filler Pokemon that I figured I could beat up, I headed into the fight. And I was mostly right. Rillaboom used drum beating to defeat 1, 2, 3, Primal Kyogre, and Mega Sharpedo. Disgusting. Just a disgusting performance by Peachal. Bravo. There was a thunderstorm in Satopolis to chase next, where all of the main characters of this story aligned in Maxie, Archie, Dawn, Steven Stone, and now Wallace. Well, except for 3. Scott, who I hate and you should too. Brendan, who I really do not care about. And Drake, whose character arc as a huge help in thwarting the evil bad guys was brand new to this hack. Not that I really care where these guys are at. I mean, there are monsters drowning the planet. I walked into the Cave of Origin to tell Wallace about this cool place that I've never been to, nor heard of, called the Sky Pillar, and I offered to meet him there. Before scaling the tower, Wallace leaves. I climb it myself in my relentless pursuit to save the world, only to find Drake has beat me to it. This is great news, because he is an adult and I am a child. Maybe I should not be saving the world.
It seems now you are the only one that can stop me from leaving here with Rayquaza, which would allow Groudon and Kyogre to unleash.
Wait, no, I wasn't ready! I wasn't ready! Drake, I didn't get to set my team up! I have a Floatzel on this squad! No, not a double battle! Okay. Alright, crap! Yeah, I got the crap beaten out of me. Drake ran away with Rayquaza, let Groudon and Kyogre destroy the world, and the game was over. In actuality, Drake waited for us there, like the nice evil guy that he is. And I brought in the A squad this time. Mega Infernape was far too strong for Magearna, and Salamence crumbled at the beam of ice Starmie shot at it. Gouging Fire and Archaludon were a crazy second duo. I thought adaptability close combat from Infernape would do a lot to Gouging Fire. Not nearly as much as I thought. Hydro Pump, strong move. Did not do what I expected it to do either. Also, what is Electric Shot? Why did Archaludon Spatic just boost? Power Herb? Yeah, my Starfish did not like that, so it died. Better yet, next turn I swapped in Togekiss, and Archaludon just Steel Beamed it on entry. It attacked a Fire type with that. Swampert at least defeated Gouging Fire, and close combat from Infernape avenged our fallen Togekiss. I knew Infernape was going down to Dragon Ascent here. I just hoped my final 3 Mons could be Mega Rayquaza and Water Nation Tauros.
Dragon Pulse, okay. We should... Breakfast.
Wow.
Okay. Honestly, give me a little frostbite action. Frostbite? Nope. Okay. Should have double targeted. Oh my god. Oh no. I should have just double targeted. Oh my god. No way I lose this. No way I lose this. I don't have Dazzle Gleam. I do have Draining Kiss. Okay. Breakfast? No, it went for the most damaging move. That's crazy. Okay, all right. We get the kill. We get the kill. We get the kill. All right, it comes down to this. I just need to not get flinched one time. Click close combat. Why wouldn't you? This is a very close combat opportunity. No. Just need to not get flinched. Just don't get flinched. Thank you. We did it. Oh my god, what an insane fight. What an insane fight. We free the lizard to save the day, and Drake retires from the Elite Four like a dramatic crybaby. Back to Satopolis, we watch Rayquaza descend to save the day and start yapping with all of our old friends. Once they leave, Wallace gives us access to the 8th gym, and it's time for the final step in our journey, becoming the Pokemon champion. Juan was in our way, and I had the perfect plan to get by him. First, the now fairy-type leader needed to have his terrain changed from misty to grassy. After a first turn switch out, I had to do it again. Good news though, it flipped turn and sacrificed its Flutter Mane, which I greatly appreciated. Typhlosion was brought in next to counter Rapidash, and I found a bug. Nice. That's my favorite glitch ever. That was great. We should do that more often.
Though, it flipped turn and sacrificed its Flutter Mane, which I greatly appreciated. Typhlosion was brought in next to counter Rapidash, and I found a bug.
Nice. That's my favorite glitch ever. That was great. We should do that more often. I liked that.
I cannot believe it took recoil damage even though my flash fire went off. I leaned into this because I thought it was funny, and I let Rapidash knock itself out with Wild Charge. I tried setting in Typhlosion to deal with Tinkaton, but it switched out into Ursaluna, who tanked an Eruption much better than I thought he would. It did not, however, tank a drum beating from Pichal, and Typhlosion got its revenge on Tinkaton shortly after. And with Juan's ace Mega Diancie out and at him, I sent in King Gambit to tank Diamond Storm and then Earth Power, and Ironhead the Beast into Oblivion. It was just Tapu Fini remaining. And Venusaur was the perfect check with a poison grass type that walled the heck out of the Water Fairy. Thank you for the badge, bozo. Ah, Victory Road, the place where you demolished Dawn and her Pheromosa, Blacephalon, and Mega Empoleon. Brendan and his Metagross, Urshifu, Tapu Bulu, and the Mega Blaziken. And you get a Cubfu from Brendan as a little parting gift to maybe help you get through the Elite Four. I made it into the Dark type one because I thought it synergized best with the types we'd be seeing in the Elite Four and prepared for Victory Road. And Wally's team in here is definitely wild. I flip turn here into Infernape, and I think I can sweep from there.
Don't die! Thank you.
And Celesteela, good night. All right, we did it. Good night. Dude, Mega Infernape goes crazy. Oh, I got the Slackite. Let's go. And from here, there were quite a few mandatory trainers that you definitely have to plan for, but nothing was really bothersome. Once at the Elite Four gates, I realized I may have skipped some optional trainers that may or may not be useful to address. So I addressed them. Fantina tossed me the Shadow Ball and Psychic TMs. Maylene, thank you for Drain Punch. And Wake, thank you for Gyarados and Dreadnought. It was Elite Four time, and I had assembled a hell of a squad. Togekiss, Melmetal, Incineroar, Golisopod, Swampert, and Infernape. With all of my bases covered, and dove in. Sydney has one of two teams. This one happened to be the Trick Room team, with Galar Moltres swapping into Monkey Dory. What is a Monkey Dory? Melmetal tried to hit it, but it left. And then Victini took its place. Incineroar could probably have taken it down if Guzzlord didn't swap in, and then back to Monkey. I mean, this was getting ridiculous. Good news, I was definitely doing more damage than I was taking, and drew first blood on Moltres just a few turns later, and then I had to take out Victini.
I'm just gonna get the flinch. It's gonna Trick Room. I know what it's gonna use, right? Yeah, so that's fine. So then I kill it. Nice. Am I scared of Grimmsnarl? I mean, what is this gonna do? I'm gonna get a flinch again. What on earth is a Mega Grimmsnarl? There was more on this sheet? What is that? I don't like this at all. Thanks. All right, kill it. Move on. Move along. That was horrific. That was not good.
Guzzlord and Absol could not figure out Moonblast from Togekiss, and we were moving on to Elite Four number 2. And Phoebe was not easier than Sydney. I might even call the fight harder. My opening plan was to air slash flinch Weezing, which obviously worked, but it switched out into whatever this is before I could drop it. Fazandipity? I don't know. Double Iron Bash just eviscerated it, and Lunala walked in. It used Moonbeam on me, which certainly hurt, but Double Iron Bash was respectable and damage output through multi-scale. And then it healed with Moonlight, which is only a problem because at full HP, this thing takes half of its normal damage intake. It's okay. That itty bitty sliver of HP that's gone right there meant Incineroar was lined up to Darkest Lariat us home. Once again, I do not know what this guy is, but I beat it up a little bit, which felt good. And then we started doing the stupid switch game all over again once it parting shotted into Drifblim, and I had to get Incineroar in to take care of it, except it flinched me. Personally, I prefer to be the flincher, not the flinchy, so this made me feel bad. Togekiss chipped it, and Golisopod was able to finish it. Hey, what's going on? What on earth am I looking at? Mega Dust Noir sounds like a really expensive and crappy wine. Looks cool though. I intimidated it a bunch. Running Earthquake pivots with Togekiss, it swapped out like a loser though. Pecharunt took the stage, but then it left into Weezing to stare down my Togekiss. I finally got the KO, and thinking I was faster, I stayed in against Pecharunt. Wrong. Dead Chunky Bird might make a nice stew later. Infernape avenged our friend, and a whole lot of pivoting and stalling led to the demise of Dust Noir. On to Glacia. Glacia is super weird in this hack. She could be using Alolan Ninetales as her opener for a classic icy feel. Or she could be using regular Ninetales with Drought. Good luck, Ice or Sun. I don't know. Have fun planning for everything. This iteration was the icy version, and I opened with Infernape, immediately firing off my Mega Evolution and planting a Stealth Rocks on her team. I was hoping the Switch Heavy AI would punish an Ice-type team and figured the turn 1 investment was worth it. Fighting Electric Electivire out next. Mach Punch did insane damage to Swampert before it swapped into Slush Rush Mega Abomasnow. Rock's Chip plus High Horsepower Chip was great damage, and first impression Golisopod thumped it to best the beast. Electivire vs Swampert, Part 2, Electric Boogaloo, went in favor of the Axolotl on the pink stairs. I don't know what a Kyurem is. It's the most Yu-Gi-Oh Pokemon I've ever seen. Incineroar Drain punched it, and Volca Onion walked in. 1 flinch, 2 flinch, red flinch, blue flinch. What is that? I sent in Melmetal. Does Melmetal survive Life Orb boosted Flare Blitzes? Flare Blitz would hurt, but I survived Flare Blitz. We're fine. Right, guys? Right, guys? I ate 1 Flare Blitz. Ooh. Ooh. Hey, what was that? A good sack, good sack. And in Drake's house, we find not Drake, it's Cynthia. Whatever. I don't care. I'm taking this no-name loser to school. Lock in, boys. Spiritomb has it. Intimidate Spiritomb is so funny. Should I air slash flinch or Moonblast? I'll get 2 flinches and then I'll kill it with Moonblast. Good call, guys. Good call. So first flinch. Nice. So we'll get 1 more here. Sweet. And now we'll kill with Moonblast. Good strat, guys. Good strat. I like the way you guys think. Woo! All right. This is big scary bad guy. Ooh, it's defense raised. I didn't realize that. That's very scary for me. I'm gonna go here. This is steel move, right? Nice. I'm gonna go here. I don't really need you for anything specific. No, this is... Your job is just to... Yeah, I mean to do what you're doing. Fighting Steel Type Ogre Razor Shell. Iron Defense, that's okay. I don't know how fast Zamazenta is, but I assume that Infernape is faster. But that did no damage at all. That was awesome. Okay.
Sweet. I might be clicking overheat here instead of. It's max defense. this body press is about to hurt. Woo! Lock in, lock in, lock in. Survive. My goat, dude. My goat. Tristan, let's go. Dude, hell yeah. You just gotta believe. Woo! Infernate Bite. I don't know that I'm faster, but I am plus speed and I'm a mega. So I'm hoping that I'll be faster. Give me that, please. Give me that. Come on, knock it out, knock it out, knock it out. That's a dead mon. That's a dead mon, 100%, right? No way. Dude, Zach's in. Okay, all right. What's next? What's next? Dude, that Glycopod, what a monster. So I do need to switch you out. This is Earthquake, which is a little scary, but I'm just going to go to Sleep Surf here. Oh, I forgot to go Charty Berry. My dumb ass. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Earthquake here. Nice. I was scared of that. By going Tailwind, I'm now faster. How am I going to kill this? You know what? I'll go Air Slash, get the flinch, and then I'll Moonblast it. Okay, that's a good strat. That's a good strat. So we'll go Air Slash. Get the flinch here. You can't keep getting away with it. And then I'll Moonblast it. Okay, that's a good strat. That's a good strat. So we'll go Air Slash. Get the flinch here. You can't keep getting away with it. Nice. All right, sweet. And now I'll just click Moonblast and we'll kill. Whew. Whew. I was sweating there for a second. We are good now. All right, what am I worried about here? This has Power Gem. I don't think I care. I'm gonna go here. I'm just gonna punch. That's fine. Guys, if you just think it's gonna flinch, then you'll get the flinch, okay? You just have to, you understand what I'm saying? It's all in your head. Heat Ram, please die. I think that this dies. It stresses me out. Yeah, thank you. I don't know what to do about this guy. I don't know what Fairy Aura means. I went Akaberry on Percy for this exact mon though, so hoping it works out for me. Moonblast? Ouch. Double Iron Bash. What does this mean? What's a geometry? What does that do? Can I kill it? Can we kill it? All right, good. Bye-bye. I don't know why it did that colorful dance. It didn't seem to do anything. I don't know. I'm gonna click Ice Punch. Show me the freeze. Give me that freeze. Wait, what? I'm gonna go here. All right, sweet. That's what I wanted to see. That's great. Okay, don't flinch. Thanks. Deathless Cynthia, boys. Guys, as it turns out, Cynthia's really easy if you just get 3 flinches with Togekiss. I didn't look at the champion. I don't know what the champion has. What am I going up against? Oh, I did not. It's a double battle against Wallace and Steven. And it opens up with double Mega Empoleon. What is this? This is insane. It's double Mega Empoleon, but different Megas. They gave, for whatever reason, in their quest to make new Megas, they gave Empoleon 2. Mega Empoleon O and Mega Empoleon D. Dog, I'm about to get beat up. All right, now that I know that Wallace's team is on the left, I thought Wallace's team was on the right here. It ended up working out in a couple ways, but rocks went up, which was bad. All right, we killed Empoleon. Great. All right, we get Palkia now. Yeah. So this guy wants to use Hydro Pump. I think he's going to miss. I don't think he hits. What do you guys think? Like, no way he hits, right? No, he never hits. He never hits. He never hits. We're fine. Yes! Give me that! Okay, all right, we get the kill there. That's great. I'll get a little damage off on Palkia. Give me the miss. Oh, I didn't get the miss. And Incineroar dies. That's a bummer. Well, at least Infernape's still alive. That was the big one there. Okay, I'm actually going to go to Sleep Surf now. Guys, I punched my microphone on accident. I got excited. I punched my microphone, and now my knuckles are bleeding. This is not good. Are you like, yeah, oops. Okay, can we get the Spatic drop? Meaty Mash? No, why? Why would you go for that? No, no, no. That's garbage. Good damage. What is Outer Space Rend? Do I get ejected or do I die? Oh, you die to that move. That's a kill move. That's one of those moves where you die after, huh? I did not like that. All right, don't flinch me. Okay, at least we get the kill on this guy. All right, let's... Oh, I went for the wrong one. I clicked the wrong button. You lived? Wait, go for... Yes, 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 yes. Don't flinch. I don't really care if you flinch, to be honest. You didn't? That was glorious. Great job. I think we're getting out. I think we're getting out. I don't know that. I think so. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna T-Wave. No, that's such a stupid idea. Okay. Close combat? How much damage? Oh, that is not the damage I thought it was going to do. If this goes for Zach. Oh, it's not going for Zach. Oh, that is going to be a ranged. Oh, no. No, 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 no. Get the kill. Get the kill. Get the kill. Please get the kill. Please. Kill it. Yes. Thank you. God damn. Holy, dude, I am bleeding. Dude, guys, dude, I ripped up my hand, bro. I punched my mic. Crap.
Shout out to the Patreon subscribers, DJ, Victoria, Kiri, Prita, Tyler, Vicento, Chad, and Grant. You guys are the best. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. I held the world record for the best Radical Red 3.1 Nuzlocke attempt for a while, but after back-to-back losses to Koga, I couldn't bring myself to make another run. World record. I held the world record for the best Radical Red 3.1 Nuzlocke attempt for a while, but after back-to-back losses to Koga, I couldn't bring myself to make another run at the Elite Four. But a few months ago, there was a major update to the game, introducing Generation 9 Pokemon and an overhaul of some fundamental mechanics. And the AI was changed? What if the game made more sense all of a sudden? What if we could make it work this time? This month, I crawled back to Radical Red like the toxic ex she's always been to me. Welcome to Radical Red, maybe the world's hardest Pokemon game and Nuzlocke. This game is one of the most complex, dynamic experiences you'll find anywhere. And in hardcore mode, this game goes from tough to impossible. Hardcore mode bans all weather control, including moves and abilities outside of a couple niche Pokemon. This mode also bans moves and abilities that would allow your Pokemon to get stronger in battle. And maybe the craziest, the AI can now predict your items, abilities, stats, and sometimes what Pokemon you're switching into. And just like that, here I am again, stuck in Pallet Town with any starter I could possibly imagine. And a dream. A dream of getting my teeth kicked in by this godforsaken game just a few hours from now.
Brockatorius Section 1 with a couple brutal fights including Brendan, Lass Ann, Lord Sammy, and Faulkner standing guardians to the first badge challenge. And while all of these teams are some level of intimidating, there are some clear-cut answers in these patches of grass to the upcoming nightmares. Stars like Mighty Yenna with Strong Jaw, Furret with adaptability, the Big Goon with great vibes, and Cricketune with Technician dunk on many of the rivals ahead. And Attempt 1 started with some of that. We picked up Quaxley with the first encounter. I figured that a water fighting type might match up well against Brock and powered my way to encounters 2 through 6. We picked up Poochienna, Sentret, and Cricketune. That's 3 booms for anyone counting. I tried running Strongjaw Mightyena to sweep Brendan and actually did it. Bite didn't even get a flinch, it just one-shot 3 of the enemies and then 2-shot Gorefish. I will say I don't remember Stuffle being a prominent part of the previous update of this game. Still, asking Meryl to mitigate the new arrival, we managed the fight pretty okay. Lord Sammy wasn't super tough. Cricketune and Dustox fell to Staravia, and then I used my own Cricketune to collapse the final Volbeat. I think the Volbeat's level here is lower than what it used to be, which trivialized its difficulty, but it was now Faulkner time, whose team was absolutely revamped. With 2 Paldean Mons on the new squad, Wattrel wasn't a super big threat, but the speedy electric type certainly looked to mix things up, and Squawkabilly, who, by the virtue of being a single-stage Pokemon, was a dangerous early-game menace. But first, a couple more encounters. I didn't think Skiddo or Trapinch would really help us, at least not now, but I did talk to Sonic's nemesis, Eggman over here, and received a Paldean egg. An egg I would run down to Pallet Town to hatch as my encounter just below it. This could be any Paldean Mon ever, and it was a Flittle. What on earth is a Flittle? We did get a Binacle, which was cool, but it's not getting Tentacool in that little pond. That was heartbreaking. At least the Barnacle would do some work on Faulkner, maybe? I opened with Cricketune for it, which you'd think would be bad against the flying leader, but Rigbear here thrashed the opening plucky guy with Rock Tomb, and the classic Meryl counter to Faulkner's Farfetch'd held up strong. And then entered Squawkabilly.
What the heck is a Squawkabilly?
I used Barnacle Boy here to Rock Smash Elvis, and then after the defense drop, Accelerock was more than enough to punish the Poultry. Wattrel wanted to shock my little water guy here, so I sent in Furret to clean up. Headbutt, as well as another hit on the final Yanma, brought us home. We had made it all the way to Brock on attempt 1, which might not sound like much, but Radical Red is that ROM hack, you know? And up against Brock next, I knew we were in for some trouble. Varoom now added to the Rocky loadout. This wasn't 2023 Radical Red Brock anymore. This was 2024 Brock. But what Brock didn't see coming was that I wasn't even 2024 Wacko anymore. I was 2025 new and improved Wacko, and my New Year's resolution was to kick Brock's butt. Actually, speaking of New Year's resolutions, I've been trying to get outside and go on more walks this year, and I think it's about time I introduce you to the sponsor of today's video, Vessi and their weekend sneakers. With waterproof technology and all-day comfort, Vessi's weekend sneakers are the perfect shoes for keeping your socks dry while walking outside on wet or damp earth. I celebrated New Year's in New York this year and it was rainy, but because of these guys, I was able to stay dry in ways that sneakers have never done for me before. They're also just comfortable and stylish with a cozy interior and serious versatility in situations and outfits that I can wear them with. And Vessi prides itself in durable sneakers that serve as an investment into future adventures. So these guys should last a while. Take your first step into 2025 with confidence. Explore Vessi.com/wacko for waterproof shoes that go with all of your outfits and get an automatic 15% off your first purchase at checkout. Again, all you have to do is go to Vessi.com/wacko to get 15% off your first order. Thank you, Vessi, for sponsoring today's video. Let's get back into the action. Brock was a little poser, okay? Ugly as heck with a trash team. Brock sent in Hippopotamus first, to which I had Rigbear counter with Mega Dread Switchdown, because of course it did. It's cool. We cleared the air balloon, which was nice, which meant Spencer the Trapinch was about to smoke it with Bulldoze. Switched again. I actually clicked Rock Slide in anxious anticipation of this switch, and when the leap took the floor, I was confused, but Rock Slide still chipped in, and Cricketune was supposed to counter this fossil now, but again, we're gaming the flippin' circus out here. Faroom switched in again, poisoned by Furret this time, and poisoned Trapinch en route to dying like the little loser guy he is. Big Cacnea came out next, which Kricketune was expected to handle with some bug move. The great news was that nothing on Brock's team resisted bugs anymore, which I think honestly kind of stinks. We should make Rock resist bug. That's a type that we definitely need to make worse. Furret had to step in to finish Cacnea, and it was Pogdog time. Chompy Guy into Sucker Punch on Arkin left Mightyena a little low on the HP front, but it was all in good fun. Another Sucker Punch delivered the goods. Kricketune dodged a crit into Mega Drain Hippo, and only Laleep remained. Surely Struggle Bug drops its special attack low enough where it doesn't take me out here, right? Don't crit, hold. Oh my god. It didn't hold. It did as much. I think that was that a max roll? Or did I miscalc? Dude. Dude. Yeah, that didn't go well. I can't believe it survived on 1 HP and I didn't get a bite flinch. One badge, baby. Carry the hell on. Now, in another version of this game, I'm resetting here. Sure, Kricketune was probably not going to do anything after that fight, but Mightyena was supposed to hold up until well into Erica Split. Bringing everyone to level 23 here, we prepared for 3 bosses before Cerulean. Last Sally and her flying-type Pikachu, Super Nerd Miguel and his simple Swoobat, and Rocket Admin Archer and his own Strong Jaw Mightyena. Sally's Pikachu had nothing on Adaptafurret, and Keto the Azumarill ice punched the snot out of the wily Oricorio. Yes, I know it's not Orico Rios, man viewers, I was joking. Staravia two-shot the fluffy fiend that stood across from me now, and a double-mouthed Steel Fairy type stared me down. Kinda. I mean, it was more like a bombastic side-eye situation. But yeah, Keto rocked it. Next question. Before taking on the Swoobat double battle, I was able to pick up 3 encounters in Gyarados, Girl Nidoran, the better one, and Parasect, who was the steal of the cave. Ha, Miguel, you're going down, buddy. You don't have a chance. I will say, this fight goes a lot smoother with dark types, and I'll explain why in a moment. Thwacky was super locked into knockoff because the AI loves it when I'm holding an item and it doesn't see a kill on me, so it's just like, let me get rid of that. Bug Bite into Headbutt fried that fraud, and Bug Bite into Quick Attack was enough to drop the Explodey Voltorb as well. Reason number 1 that dark types are good is this Sableye, whose prankster ability is completely trivialized by the Mightyenas and Arbox of early game, which we did not have. Putting Sableye to sleep with Spore was definitely going to be useful here. Reason number 2 that dark types are good in this fight is this evil Swoobat that simply shreds segments of my Shining Squad. Sableye swapped out, which was a great turn of inactivity from Miguel, as Air Cutter otherwise did buckets of damage. Ice Punch and Headbutt was, fortunately, enough to guide us through. Skiddo on the floor fell to a quick double target, and Sableye was the only Mon left alive. I got Furret the heck out of there to avoid foul play damage, and Play Rough to ground the little goblin guy. I snagged a little Helix Fossil and I got into this Archer fight immediately. Opening with Baby Poison Rock Sack, I sent in Keto to Aquajet it, which took it out but left a layer of Toxic Spikes underneath it. Swapping in my only Poison type Nidorina cleared those, and Seviper put her to sleep. Ecletus then went Scorched Earth on this Viper, and I didn't have to worry about sleep, mostly because she got poisoned, but also because of Radical Red Sleep Clause that only allows 1 Pokemon on my team to be put to sleep at once. I had to make some pivots because small birds lose battles with vicious snakes every day of the week. I wanted Gyarados to shred it, but the Crybaby switched out just when I got the advantage. In my opinion, if you're competitively battling and you switch out, you're demonstrating fear, and you should be ashamed. Poison Fang did a lot more damage to Keto than I thought it would, but Playrough slept Pogdog and Furo flew in. Gyarados got crit twice here, which was crazy, but we benefited from getting the Intim drop and sent in Furret to headbutt Pokemon's ugliest bird into the dirt. Furret chained the Seviper and Houndour that remained like the beast that she is and propelled us into Cerulean on attempt 1. I had to break out my winter coat because of how cold this Furret is. I think someone actually made that happen in another game. Cerulean gave us access to a new level cap, the move relearner, and our next boss battle, the Nugget Bridge Rival. Opening with Hitmonchan, I sent in Keto. The Ivysaur switch was predictable here, but Playrough still did respectable work on the plant starter. Staravia finished it, and Simipour walked into Icy Wind.
Switching to Go-Goat on Icy Wind was not my favorite thing in the world. I ended up spamming Synthesis to keep my farm animal in the fight, but it was pretty yucky. I'm just happy we got out of there. Playrough got its revenge on Hitmonchan, and Arbok took center stage for our rival. And look, Nidoqueen is pretty good at dealing with it, except for the part where it actually has no ground moves at this point at all. Superpower hit, I guess, and Gyarados' Intimidate chipped in, but Thunderfang was too scary to sit in on. When in doubt, send for it out, baby, clean. It was cleffable time. Let's go to Waldo here. This does have Icy Wind. Don't click it. It clicked it. That was predictable. That just did 37 damage. Here we go, boys. Don't die. Thanks. Yeah, surely we get the kill here. I'm adamant. Yeah, that went bad. I'm just grateful the ground typing of Waldo prevented Charge Beam on the switch, and Azu was able to get in and clean up the fairy monster. With just Eevee left, Gyarados went to work, thrashing on the cat dog. Nugget Bridge season was upon us. It was a bunch of baby battles, followed up by the Nugget Bridge rocket run. And he wasn't super hard to deal with, but he's not super easy either. Opening with Intimidate Arcanine, I sent in Big Quaxwell to punch it with Aqua Cutter. That sucked, actually, as Thunderfang hit me with the worst roll possible, forcing me to switch into Waldo. Tell me why Big Togi D fired off a U-turn when I switched into Go-Goat. Watch this epic gamer move, though, by Azu. Don't get poisoned! Don't get you. Oh! Oh! Let's go! And the demon was out. Big Komala. This Sleep Talk into Last Resort menace dealt insane damage at the press of a button. It actually came down to Parasect sopping up 2 attacks without getting crit, leeching some life, and then sending in Go-Goat to finish it switched out as I sent it in. L. Togi D U-turned out into Komala again, and we shook it to death with a monstrous earthquake. One more survived from Go-Goat, and Togi D had nowhere to run this time. Take that, Mickey. I got a Boltund and a Chinchou, and I'm ready to take on the Dig Grunt. And by readied, I mean I didn't plan at all, and I went in guns blazing. How'd this work out for me? Well, Thunderfang Boltund was enough to collapse Alolan Persian, and Raticate coming in next was scary because Stomping Tantrum was absolutely going to drop me, so I sent in Gyarados to at least get an Intimidate drop as the Flame Orb procced. This was not a good place to be in, but I had to attack, right? I bit the rat, taking a fat facade, and I tried to bite it again, but it U-turned into Crobat. This Crobat is ridiculous. Scope Lens, Sniper, Cross Poison, and Air Cutter? Are we kidding? Gyarados tripped it pretty good, and Nidoqueen was able to complete the task, and then Catastrophe struck. Preying on Stomping Tantrum, I swapped to Gyarados, and it facaded me. Goodbye, big fish. We'll miss you, buddy. Go-Goat, the 531 base stat total behemoth, avenged our friend and felled the final whatever the heck this is. We're moving on to Misty. Now, ironically, the reason that I had to beat this grunt was because I needed the TM Bulldoze to teach to Gyarados. I could toss it at its lifeless corpse, I guess, but I don't think I'll get very far. Oh well. Who needs good learn sets for the second gym leader? I heard that gym is easy, and it kind of was, sorta. Boltund opening its Politoed and Bite was nice and chipping against the Clodsire that came out. I was hoping we could flinch it to death, but it just kept recovering. And then when it finally clicked Bulldoze, it critical hit me, so my Boltund died. Nidoqueen got the revenge kill, and the easiest counter for me to deal with walked in. Toxicroak. It just swords danced. And then it got crit and died. Starmie with Scald was free on the Parasect pivot, and Leech Life was more than enough to punch us home. Ludicolo was also checked with Dry Skin Parasect as well. Lantern was a great check to the useless Mantine, and with only Politoed left, we snagged the badge for Misty and left the gym. And with hope and promise in my eyes, I made a business decision. Without Gyarados, I wasn't sure how viable this run was to go far, but defeating Misty in attempt 1 felt like a great sign of things to come. I let the run rest, celebrating my small victory and readying to move on. And a short 18 attempts later, I finally made it back, and I locked in. Misty, you're going down. Lilligant opened and slammed a bold Sleep Powder as she swapped into the Poison Frog. 2 Bulldozes from Gyarados was enough to drop the Sleepy Guy, and Thunder Punch Ludicolo stepped in. Pivoting into Lantern, then to Liquid Ooze Tentacruel on Giga Drain, we set the stage for a Tentacruel takedown.
Lantern dodged the confusion stepping in on Mantine's Hurricane and cleared its Wakenberry with a spark before Misty walked this chunky cutie in. Meowstic one-shot this guy. Psyshock just clocked it. It was crazy stuff. And with Starmie now out, it was time to see if the best trick in the Radical Red book still worked. Golduck! Swift Swim, Me First, Wise Glasses, Boosted Thunderbolt always drops this guy. With Mantine out, I elected to headbutt flinch it to see if I can get the KO that way. And because I have that option whenever I want, it worked, and Gyarados cleared the final frog for our freedom. Holy, we did it, guys. We beat Radical Red. What a glorious day. And then I found out the truth. There's more gameplay after Misty. How could I have known that? Venturing into the Radical Red post-game now, I leveled everybody up to level 36 and prepared for a pretty brutal double battle. Camper Jeff is a known run stopper, but I thought I had the tools. Gyarados opened to Intimidate drop and immediately switched out into Obstagoon. Sure, Ambipom had a fighting move and wanted to use it, but Uni here had access to one of my only protect moves, Obstruct. We got a double target on the Gooner, which was super important as Evil Dark Pulse Mr. Mime, and cleared it on the second turn as I swapped Gyarados back in on Arm Thrust. These fights do get really complicated to navigate because of how many things can happen when you don't have promised calcs like you would in, say, Run and Bun. Sending in Tentacruel and Lantern to counter Granbull and the double attack dropped Ambipom, I watched as Ambi switched out to reset its stat drops, Granbull dodged the Scald Burn, Lantern flip turned out, and Tentacruel got paralyzed from Granbull's Thunder Punch. I needed another double switch, and made it happen through Lantern and Meowscarada. This next turn was the defining turn of the battle.
I think it's the right thing to do. Yep, it's gonna hurt. Don't crit kill. Thank you. No. No way. Okay, I get the kill still. Good God. Can I get the burn here? Burn, 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 burn. Yes! Okay. All right, we are so back. We are so back.
With the amount of things that just went our way, it was no problem at all navigating the final Ambipom and Berserker. And with that, encounter time, baby. Welcoming Glycopod, Frillish, and Underground Egg Guy.
What the?
What's that? It's an evil bird. Now, the SSN is a difficult one, and with 2 double battles in a rival fight, I had to prepare, but I did figure out a workaround for the first 2 double battles, and I want to share it with you. In old updates of Radical Red, you could walk by both fights with just 1 Pokemon in your party to get through them. Now, if you enter with just 1 Pokemon, you get a single battle, so you need the perfect Pokemon to represent your team if you're gonna try it. Introducing the 70% encounter in Pallet Town, Tentacruel, who combines Rest and Scald tactics to shred Samurott and Simisear pretty easy. And now 100% guaranteed encounter, Sylveon, whose Draining Kiss, Skill Swap, Fairy Wind, Rest set is enough to clear all of Cradilly, Tatsujiri, and Luminion. This run was super fun because of the tools I had in my pocket, and this fight against Brendan was exemplary of that. U-turn Meowscarada opened to chip the crab and bait X-Scissor. First Impression made contact with Slaking as it swapped in, and Obstagoon got knocked off as I switched that guy in. With Obstruct stalling non-truant turns, I thought I had the KO in the bag. Wrong. This AI hates me, and Plusle came in on a switch. Knowing now that the AI hates me though, I forecasted another switch and flip turned with Lantern as Sceptile walked in. Of course, we got another one because Brendan's scared of me, obviously, and now Hariyama was on the floor. Could I finally get a knockout?
We are speed tied right now. I won the speed tie! Take that, dummy.
I got one. That's crazy. Brendan kept metaphorically passing the baton to every member of his team anyways, and I had to try and keep pace, which I actually think I did an okay job of. My next punch out was the Sceptile, who did not rock with First Impression. Immediately after, Slaking fell to low kick, and a projected switch from Plusle into Gardevoir allowed me to flip turn safely into Tentacruel for the Poison Jab 1-tap. And Plusle did such little damage to Lantern, I was able to flip turn out as I dropped it into First Impression Glycopod to boil the ultimate lobster. And with that, it was time for Gentleman Tucker, whose team wasn't a super big deal, but that Arena Trap Dugtrio looked mighty dangerous with the amount of switching this game was willing to do. I elected to build a full team of Pokemon that could counter it and something else, and opened with Meowscarada to thwart Alakazam. Gyarados rolled through the fighting flying Farfetch'd, Meowscarada seed-bombed Pikachu, and I utilized a pivot into Lantern and a flip turn into Meowscarada to safely evade Arena Trap and conquer the Trappy Mole. And with just Swanna left, I was free to Shockwave and prevail. Down with Gentleman Tucker, hello Surge. Even though I predicted wipe, I'm always pulling for you. Okay. That doesn't feel like those... I feel like you're not pulling for me. So I always go flip turn, first turn. I hope that it nasty plots. Yeah, great looks. So do a little bit of chip damage here. That's great. Nice. Now I go into Lilligant, who's going to bury this with Brick Break, which I do have. Nice. I went black belt. Nice. Rotom dies. Great looks. Having Lilligant at full health in the back is going to be valuable, I think. Pomo coming out now is not what I expected to see. With hard to predict post-KO AI, I knew I could only do so much in planning for this fight, but walking into Lantern now on Ice Punch was a dream come true. Icy Wind into Flip Turn did enough damage to put the mouse in range to die from First Impression Golisopod. We take those. With Ampharos out and ready to Volt Switch, I knew I couldn't use Lantern's Volt Absorb because of Mold Breaker. I sent in Lilligant to hopefully bait out Raichu, and that's exactly what I got. Walking in for free, I poked it with a little U-turn while it set up a nasty plot and shaped the Golisopod added to its kill count. Hitmonlee started setting up like crazy with bulk ups, which was silly to do because Play Rough into Aqua Jet just ran over it. God, this Electrode's so scary. Chloroblast, Volt Switch, Explosion? I mean, what was it gonna use? Meowscarada tanked the opening Chloroblast, but then the unthinkable happened. Come on, HP Ice. No way. Does this kill? Don't kill me. Hold, hold. Oh my God. Wait, and you emergency exit, right? Do you emergency exit? Yeah. Okay. It's just one Pokemon left. Woo! With Sylveon out playing wall to Ampharos, we had officially won the fight. Surge had zipped his last zap. Give me that damn third badge. And with that third badge and no deaths, I was over the moon. I felt like a new man. And at level 44, our team looked good. Jellicent, welcome to the team. Jarganical, welcome to the team. This was the dream. And we strung together a couple of wins against Alicia and Caitlyn before parading into Rock Tunnel to catch an adorably useless Citadel as well as take on Dana. Dana was a monster, but I was confident I had the stuff to get through that fight. Rabombi isn't an issue with Tentacruel, but every Mon after has deadly potential. Salt cured Jarganical into Drain Punch Lilligant, bested Bouffalant, and Play Rough Azumarill smothered Klawitzer. And then things got tricky. The reason this fight is so hard is because every single opponent hits like a truck. This Rampardos was the king of the trucks. I went hard into Lilligant on Head Smash and lost literally all of my HP. You would think that I could outspeed and kill from here, but while you're right, the guy had a 25% chance to Accelerock me and I would just die. What's crazy is if I didn't take the damage from Bouffalant that I had just a turn prior, I would have never been in this spot. 25% chance to Accelerock. It did. Good night, Lilligant. Oh, how I'll miss you, buddy. It was fine. We figured out a route to killing it with Golisopod and used Azu to Aqua Jet the final Mag Mortar. And while Lilligant probably deserved a proper funeral as our first loss, I didn't have time, as an intense, complicated Perma-Sun double battle awaited me. You know, I say that, but using Cloud9, Golduck, and Gyarados, it's a guaranteed sweep, and I just button mashed my way through it. Now, it was this next double battle that really tested us. Super Nerd Aiden was a benchmark run stopper in previous updates, with a whole bunch of fast, scary bad guys and a Queenly Majesty Mon stopping me from using all priority moves like Sucker Punch with it on the floor. It can be a real tough one to navigate. But for you, chat, I'll try anything. Leer definitely helped Gyarados rock Shiny Armarouge the second turn, and Forretress looked great standing ground next to our Serpent. But the Basculegion that came out next was stressful. I had to tank a Power Whip and a Hydro Pump in the same turn, but with both of my bonds surviving, I was able to get a Rock Tomb off to ensure my whole team was now faster than this big stupid fish. Power Whip chunked the Obstagoon again, but Parting Shot on Basculegion was definitely going to be helpful taking another hit. Mightyena now in, I Poison Fanged it so as to chip and avoid triggering the weakness policy, and I relished in the glory of predicting the Shadow Ball that Obstagoon stepped in on. Serena was stressing me out now with its Power Whips, but I Parting Shotted it to drop its attack for a third time and used Crunch Mightyena to finish Basculegion. Arcanine now saw a knockout on every Pokemon I'd ever owned, except for maybe Jarganical. Go get him, buddy. Okay, went. Oh, that's very scary. Oh, and Flare Blitz, that's so good. Okay, hold on. We're doing okay. Nice, don't burn. Thank you, Aqua Tail. Great. That turn actually went super smooth, but with all of my chips on the table, I had to make a brutal, heartbreaking decision. Mighty Anna, you served me well. This is the designated Mighty Anna death fight every attempt, though. If I'm being honest, it's just so useful against the fight, but so frail and so not useful after. Rest in peace, Pog Dog, you played your role. And now things get crazy, as Radical Red gives you access to an unlimited amount of starter eggs, and according to my rule set, I could hatch one in every location that I skipped my encounter in. Now, what egg was I gonna start with? The fire, water, or grass one? Well, the fire, of course. I needed Incineroar. Guys, when I tell you I hatched every single other starter before I finally got Litten, I mean every one. I was pissed. But even still, after 9 egg hatches, I got our guy and prepared for Erica. And this fight was more complicated than it used to be. With a new opener in Ogerpon, a much stronger hitter than the Credelia that preceded it, I was gonna have to come up with some Eric Spolstra play calls. Did I do this right? Did I do this right? Please tell me I did this right. Nice, good damage. Okay, now this should be U-turn. Should be U-turn. Show me U-turn. Thank you. Sceptile's not who I expected to see here, but I'm cool with it. High horsepower, I believe. I'll go here. Nice. I knew it would switch out. I think this goes to Slowbro. Yeah. Okay. I'm expecting T-Wave here. I go here. I have 2 monsters.
I gotta do the full walkover.
Yeah, bro.
Damn. Hey, girl.
I'm so sorry.
Ooh.
I don't know why I fall down every time.
That's 1 point.
Can I hear what the pickup line is? You don't even have to say the pickup line.
I'm that good. I'm that fucking good, bro.
Talk about some riz.
Yeah.
Oh my god. My boy.
I gotta do the full walkover.
Yeah, bro.
Damn. Hey, girl.
I'm so sorry.
Ooh.
I don't know why I fall down every time.
That's 1 point.
For over 2 decades, the Johto League has been a corrupt establishment that's besmirched the reputation of one of the most beautiful regions in all of Pokemon. Think about it. Gym leaders refusing to give out badges, Elite Four members with lazy RNG-heavy strategies, and a willful lack of representing Johto's natural fauna in direct opposition of Article 4, Section 3 in the League Charter, all spearheaded by a champion who devalues human life in favor of bloody vengeance. They all think they can do whatever they want without any consequences. So it's all gotta go. Tear it all down, start over. It's time for a rebellion. We're gonna blow up the Johto League from the inside by assembling a squad of rebels and becoming champions. My team's gonna need to be scrappy. They can't be afraid to get their hands dirty. Rebellion isn't for the faint of heart, so it's only logical that they'll have to be poison types. If you don't think about it too hard. My first teammate is a Spinarak from Route 30, and as the very first freedom fighter, he'll be invaluable. A symbol of the rebellion, a leader for all others to look up to. His name is PETA. Now, the current issue with PETA is that he is at level 2, and with a low base power Poison Sting as his only attacking move, anything that can fight back will be able to easily take him out, including even a level 2 Caterpie. What PETA needs is the Pokemon version of a hapless potato sack that he can smack around without any risk of getting hit back. And thankfully, Metapods on Route 30 fill that role to a T. Of course, anytime I run into a Pokemon that isn't a Metapod, I'll need to run away before they kill us, which isn't exactly guaranteed given PETA's remarkably low speed stat. Frankly, the odds of PETA getting killed before we find even a single Metapod are not in his favor. But with a little luck, we find the pod, PETA gets his very first kill, and he grows to level 3. Aw, yeah, PETA's really cooking with gas now. He's tasted his first drop of blood and is on his way to becoming a full-blown revolutionary. After assassinating just a few more metapods, the Wriggly Caterpies are no longer a threat. By level 8, he's even taking on his natural predators. Oh, how far the young lad has already come. And so, at level 10, PETA's ready to graduate from field training and move on to his first solo mission, taking out youngster Mikey. All in all, it's a painless endeavor. PETA doesn't even flinch as his 2 civilian marks fall to just a few hits apiece. And on the other side of Mikey is an opportunity to recruit a few more soldiers for our cause. From Route 31, Hamish the Bellsprout. From Dark Cave, Katniss the Zubat. And from Sprout Tower, Rue the Ghastly, the latter of whom will all but single-handedly ensure that we can defeat the first gym leader Faulkner. His lead Pidgey has no way to hit Rue for damage, though we too have no way to hit him. So the plan is to whittle the tiny bird down with poison stings from PETA in the hopes of getting a poison before he dies. It's not the best plan since in theory poison sting only has a 30% chance to poison, but in reality I swear that's closer to like 80%, and if you ignore basic statistical analysis, that's indubitably supported by getting the poison on our very first hit. So with that, I can switch to Rue and spam Spite until PETA's toxins slowly and painfully drain the life from Pidgey's body until he's nothing more than a motionless pile of cartilage and feathers. Rebellion is not for the faint of heart. With Rue out at full HP against Faulkner's Pidgeotto, I can enact my plan. Clicking Curse. Rue's faster than Pidgeotto, so she's guaranteed to get it off, but this is risking her life to a critical hit gust. So as Faulkner's ace fires off his attack, I hold my breath to see if Rue becomes the first soldier to die for our cause. But with 6 HP, she lives. So from here, I can switch out to Katniss, and then it's just a matter of supplementing the curse damage with a few bites. I fear that we're in it for the long haul, as Pidgeotto goes for a roost, but with a critical hit, we bring our foe down into the red, and then Rue gets the last laugh as Curse knocks out Faulkner's ace and wins us the very first gym badge of our journey. Before leaving Violet City for good, Professor Elm's aide gives me a free egg, which I mean is huge in this economy. And then it's off to Azalea Town, where there's little to do besides take on Bugsy, yet another violator of A4S3. Taking out his mighty Scyther will mostly be Katniss's responsibility, who after eating a Leer, does solid damage with Wing Attack, but not wanting to eat an essentially boosted Quick Attack, I make sure to switch to Rue. Scyther then sets up a Focus Energy, which means that she can rip a Nightshade that triggers our foe's Citrus Berry. And then Scyther uses U-Turn, which despite being quad resisted, does 50 freaking percent before Kakuna comes in and tanks the Nightshade. This grants me a fairly safe switch back to Katniss, who shrugs off a Poison Sting and gets the KO with a Wing Attack, bringing Scyther back in. This time she immediately rips a Quick Attack before our Wing Attack frustratingly leaves our foe with just a sliver. As Bugsy opts for a Super Potion, I too heal up with a Roost. A Focus Energy means that we can get off a Wing Attack for free, though after eating a Quick Attack, another hit once again leaves Scyther in the red. So now I could risk the critical hit, but I've seen far too many of those in my day, and it's way too early in the campaign to lose a soldier like Katniss. So instead, I switch back to Rue. This should hopefully bait U-turn, so I now bring Katniss back in, as Scyther plays ball and does indeed U-turn out into Metapod, letting us get back to nearly full HP via Roost before taking the KO with a Wing Attack and ensuring our victory. Because Bugsy's huggable ace comes out for the very last time, and all she can do is set up another Focus Energy before our Wing Attack finally takes the KO. Thanks to an incredible performance from Katniss, badge number 2 is ours. Man, I can't tell you how many times I've struggled through this Bugsy fight. And as fun as these challenges still are, even I need to change things up from time to time, which is why I'm super excited about the sponsor of this video, Wildbound. Wildbound is an upcoming monster taming RPG with a modern open world approach that just launched their Kickstarter campaign. The 6-person development team behind Wildbound has spared no expense, and a lot of what I love about Pokemon is also featured here, like 200 unique wilds. Look at how cute! that evolve into stronger forms, and a strategic turn-based combat system centered around 18 elements with their own intricate interactions. But it's the differences that make Wildbound special and are what excite me the most. Like how the player collects DNA from fallen wilds and reanimates them to fight in battle, which is thematically perfect for the game's built-in hardcore Nuzlocke-esque challenge mode that also features universal level scaling as you progress through both the main quest line and countless rich side stories. Wildbound also has unique replayability, as players can choose to start in any one of Avium's 4 regions that all unlock distinct wilds, storylines, and challenges. Wildbound is planning to launch on Steam, Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and the Switch 2, all with seamless multiplayer. But in order to do so, they need our help. So if you're interested in seeing Wildbound come to life, you can use my link to check out the Wildbound Kickstarter that's live now, featuring rewards such as Alpha Access in 2026, exclusive Astral mounts, and more. Thanks so much to Wildbound for sponsoring this video. Now, featuring rewards such as Alpha Access in 2026, exclusive Astral mounts, and more. Thanks so much to Wildbound for sponsoring this video. Now, let's get back to the challenge. Azalea Town has one more threat in the form of our rival Snow, who admittedly doesn't really fit into the narrative I've constructed, but whatever. Although Katniss can outspeed and one-shot Snow's lead Ghastly with a bite, the rest of his team is excruciatingly painful to deal with, especially since half of my squad is weak to fire-type attacks from his Quilava. Fortunately, Snow seems to favor spamming Smokescreen over doing damage with Ember, though that obviously comes with its own frustrations. Nevertheless, I make a slight gamble by having Rue fire off another curse, so after a switch back to Katniss, Quilava goes down without too much of an issue. That just leaves Snow with his own Zubat, and since we have Wing Attack while he does not, you'd think this would be pretty straightforward, but Quilava was able to get off a Smokescreen on Katniss before going down, and as a result, we miss our first Wing Attack, letting Zubat connect with a 55% accurate Supersonic, which has a strong case for the most irritating move in the entire damn game. So what happens next is 4 full minutes of switching around and attempting to get off damage before Zubat, without fail, connects with Supersonic after Supersonic, and a critical hit bite. God forbid I try to hit a sleep powder though, but eventually Katniss can get the KO, and with that we're free to enter Ilex Forest, where our 5th teammate awaits, Plutarch the Oddish. The little weirdo will mostly be on the sidelines, but eventually his time to aid the rebellion will come, and when it does, he'll need to be ready. Johto's capital city of Goldenrod houses the greatest threat to our journey so far, but it also provides us with an opportunity to recruit an additional 3 new teammates. North of the city from Route 35 and 36, I get Wyrus and Beatty, the female and male Nidorans respectively, who I personally consider different encounters. Both immediately evolve into their separate middle stage forms, providing my ragtag group of rebels a marginal increase in power. Then our 3rd new encounter is a purchase from Goldenrod City's Game Corner, a lonely Ekans named Joanna, who by the grace of Arceus actually has the ability Intimidate. It feels like it's been a lifetime since I've actually gotten Intimidate in a 50-50 coin flip. Joanna will be critical to defeating the 3rd gym leader Whitney, perhaps the single most egregious example of the Johto League's corruption. In what world is this petulant, emotional child fit to be a gym leader? She's an insult to everything the league is supposed to stand for, though even so, I cannot afford to let my guard down. Her Miltank's violent proclivities are well documented, and unless I want to be another victim on a long list of lost souls, I have to play this smart. First is Whitney's Clefairy, so I lead with Beatty, hoping to get a quick 2-hit KO with super effective double kicks. But before an attack even goes off, I realize that I've made a mistake. Since double kick hits twice, that means that there's a second chance to trigger Clefairy's cute charm, which would leave Beatty infatuated and likely immobilized. So much for playing smart. To get around this, I decide to first hit Clefairy with a leer as she rolls the dice via metronome and comes up short with a swallow. On the following turn, Beatty rips a double kick, immediately triggering cute charm, and then coming up just shy of the clean KO. The little fairy then retaliates with a limp 2 hits from double slap. Since our poison point didn't trigger, Whitney will now heal, so I switch to Wyrus, who with her rivalry ability, gets a boost to her attacks when facing off against female Pokemon, but a nerf when facing males. So this fight is actually one of the few matchups where rivalry is a blessing, and with that boost, it's enough to get a clean KO with 2 hits from double kick, bringing Whitney down to her second and scariest Pokemon. Miltank immediately goes for damage, and thankfully Wyrus dodges the flinch to hit her with a growl. So now it's time to avoid some critical hits. I bring in Plutarch, hoping that it'll bait Miltank into going for Attract, which would grant a safe switch to Joanna to get off and Intimidate. Sadly, it doesn't work, but Joanna successfully dodges 2 critical hits to get off a Screech, thereby dropping Miltank's defenses by 2 full stages. This is already huge, but I decide to press my luck just a little bit more. Joanna eats yet another critical hitless stomp, and by dodging another flinch, she can nail Miltank with a second zoom lens boosted Screech. Great performance, Joanna. Now it's time to bring Beatty back in. Even at -2, Stomp is doing a solid chunk of damage. But as long as Miltank doesn't get a critical hit, we've got this in the bag. Holy shit. It's undeniable that we're getting quite lucky. No flinches and surviving Miltank's sole critical hit. Unfortunately though, we're not done. I have to switch to Wyrus as Whitney heals. Another stomp fails to get the flinch, so our rivalry boosted double kick brings the bovine down all the way into the red. All we need is one last hit. Stomp comes out, and Wyrus connects with a final double kick to net us an unexpectedly deathless victory. Whitney throws her usual temper tantrum, and without any regulation or consequences for this, there's nothing I can do but wait for her to cool down. Eventually, the badge is mine, and the soothing sound of Ecruteak City confirms that my team and I have successfully made it to the mid-game completely tragedy-free. Here I get just one more teammate, a gentle coughing named Lucy Gray from the Burn Tower. And with the new level cap of 25, everyone but our most recent recruit is finally able to evolve, granting our team a much-needed upgrade. In fact, Katniss manages to evolve twice, becoming the true face of the rebellion. No offense, PETA, and what better way to announce her arrival than with a dominant sweep of Morty's ghost types? Bite one-shots all of his Pokemon, save for the Gengar, who's nullified by a held Chesto Berry in case Hypnosis connects, which it doesn't. Granted, a Citrus Berry means that Morty's ace actually survives a second bite, but since he merely wastes a turn going for Mean Look, 2 more bites post-Hyper Potion result in a damageless victory. Well, I guess it's not completely damageless because Haunter uses a priority Sucker Punch for 12 whole damage before we get the KO. But regardless, that's badge number 4. Now the 5th gym leader lies across Johto's bright blue seas in Cyanwood City, so I need a Pokemon that can learn Surf. And to do that, we'll need a fishing rod, which I can get from the fishermen in Olivine City. Whoops, wrong house. The good rod is a gift from the other fishermen in Olivine City. I wonder if those two are friends or enemies? Or maybe frenemies? Give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. But what happens when you teach 2 men to fish? Chaos, heartbreak, drama. The hit new series, Fishing Rivals, premieres Tuesday at 8/7 Central on CBS. With the good rod, I have a very good chance of fishing up a Tentacool back in Newbark Town. It takes just 2 pulls to snag Finnick the Tentacool, who will be invaluable as our run continues. While I'm here, I decide to swing by Route 32 in the hopes of fishing up a Quillfish, though with a measly 2% encounter rate, we could be here for a long time. Okay, I swear this footage is completely unedited. I can't believe that happened. Remember training PETA against all those Metapods? Yeah, those guys had a 10% encounter rate, and it literally took me 23 attempts to find the first one. So this is like A massive time saver. Welcome to the Resistance, Maisley. A modest nature isn't exactly ideal for what's ostensibly a physical attacker, but Maisley more than makes up for it with her own unique je ne sais quoi. Meathead Chuck is Cyanwood City's gym leader, and his two fighting types have pretty lousy matchups against most of my poison types. I decide to lead with Maisley so that she can lay down a layer of toxic spikes against Primeape to better deal with Poliwrath. The downside of this is that it lets Primeape set up a double team for free. I was hoping to mitigate that with a zoom lens, but it turns out Maisley is actually faster than Primeape, rendering our held item completely useless. Fortunately, Maisley decided to lock in by connecting with a Surf before Primeape sets up a second double team, and then, after going for another layer of toxic spikes and shrugging off a weak rock slide, her second Surf connects as well. Maisley might very well be the world's luckiest Quillfish. Frankly, her vague supernatural talents are being wasted here. What she should really be doing is helping a hardened detective solve crimes in a weekly police procedural. Where there's a quill, there's a way. Thursdays on CBS. Joanna comes in to intimidate Poliwrath, and then Plutarch can use Mega Drain and Toxic Residual to safely defeat Chuck's ace and win us badge number 5. Killing the Red Gyarados sets off the Team Rocket plotline, featuring several confusingly low-leveled mini-boss fights in Rocket Hideout. Regardless, this part here never made any sense to me. Why would a Murkrow be able to perfectly mimic Petrol's voice? Does Nintendo not know what a parrot is? Or is this some sort of special Murkrow with the powers of human speech? Murkrow Murders, Mondays on CBS! After clearing through Rocket Hideout, but before heading to Radio Tower, we have 2 quick gym badges to collect. Against Price, Rue uses a few Thunderbolts to take out Seal and Dewgong before Finnick drowns Piloswine with a Choice Spec Surf. Against Jasmine, Joanna kills the 2 Magnemites with a single dig apiece, and then this time it's Maisley who comes in to take the final KO with a Choice Spec Surf. While thwarting Team Rocket back in Goldenrod City, Lucy Gray evolves into the bulky Weezing, just in time to watch her teammate murder an entire flock of her own kind. Our rival Snow remains a relentless presence on our quest, but continually proves to be nothing more than a nuisance. Confusions from Golbat, paralysis and confusions from Magnemity, curses from Haunter. He's a cool guy. This is really fun. It isn't long until we've made it to the fight against Team Rocket's new leader Archer, and like Giovanni before him, he's easily dispatched by a halfway decent water type. 3 Surfs from Maisley, and Team Rocket has been roundly defeated. So now we can head back to Blackthorn City, where Johto's other petulant gym leader awaits. As usual, Claire's Kingdra is the main threat, with her sniper ability ensuring that 1 critical hit will be all it takes to get the clean KO. Against Gyarados, I have Maisley set up 2 layers of toxic spikes before switching into Rue on a Dragon Rage. She can then get the quick kill with a Thunderbolt, bringing in the first of Claire's Dragonaires. Wait, that rhymes. Is that why her name is Claire? Anyways, I'm hoping that an Ice Beam from Finnick is enough to get the KO on the Serpent siblings, but it isn't. However, since the first Dragonair just uses Thunder Wave, which gets healed by Finnick's held Cherry Berry, this does result in using up one of Claire's Hyper Potions. Against the second Dragonair, however, Finnick does get permanently paralyzed, though a lucky dodge from Slam ensures that my sneaky squid is still at nearly full HP as Kingdra comes in last. Claire decides to play dirty by immediately using a smokescreen. Shocker. And the result is that Finnick is now trying to hit through paralysis and accuracy drops. After also tanking a Dragon Pulse, Finnick goes 0 for 2 and puts me in a pretty tough spot. I decide to switch to Katniss, who takes massive damage from another Dragon Pulse, but at this point, Maisley's spikes are doing respectable chip to Kingdra. I use Roost for a turn, which lets Katniss survive a critical hitless Hydro Pump, as the toxic residual now brings Kingdra into the yellow, triggering her held Citrus Berry. So on the next turn, Katniss takes flight. The hope is that one last turn of toxic damage is enough to bring our foe into range of a KO. But before that, I gaze up at the symbol of our rebellion, free amidst the clouds. For but a moment, there's a beautiful stillness to the world. And it's this moment, Katniss soaring through the sky. This is the moment worth remembering, not what happens next. Katniss gave everything she could, and though it wasn't enough to save her life, it was enough to get us the victory. The 8th gym badge is ours, and through Katniss's sacrifice, the rebellion is on its way to the Pokemon League. Soon we'll all be flying through the clouds, free from the shackles of tyranny, and we'll have Katniss to thank for it. But before facing off against the Elite Four, we have another challenge, proving our worth to the Kimono Girls of Ecruteak City. And as we stand now, my team is not prepared for the onslaught of all 5 evolutions that's coming our way. No, we need to power up. Specifically, I have 4 teammates that need evolution stones to be at their full potential. But in order to get them, we need to enter the Pokeathlon. And oh boy, if you thought the corruption of the Johto League was bad, the insidious practices of the Pokeathlon make Lance look like Mr. Rogers. Referees paid off to reward arbitrary points, 0 safety measures across every event, a complete disregard for concussion protocols. I haven't seen this level of disregard for the general well-being of athletes since, well, the entire history of the NFL. It's no wonder that my team can't win the stamina course. The odds are stacked against us at every turn. But even in failure, we can still slowly accrue our share of points. And with enough patience, I can get the 2 leaf stones needed to evolve Plutarch and Haymitch, as well as the 2 moonstones needed to evolve Wyrus and Beatty. So now we've got more than enough power to handle the Kimono sisters. Hopefully. I'm leading with Pita. Remember him? Because he's our answer to Naoko's Speedy Espeon, but first is Zuki's Umbreon. Beatty can nail him with an Earth Power, but a critical hit Dark Pulse forces me to switch to Haymitch, who ultimately gets the KO. So second is the Psychic spamming Espeon, and my only chance here is to kill him with Pita's priority Sucker Punches. Of course, one isn't enough for the KO, which is why the Rebellion's inaugural member is holding a Pitaya Berry. A critical hit would have still easily gotten the kill, but Pita lives to see another day as his second Sucker Punch knocks out Espeon. Third is Flareon, who is simply one-shot by a Surf from Finnick, and fourth is Jolteon, who is completely walled by Wyrus. It seems our queen couldn't care less about Seiyou's double teams. The final Kimono sister is Kuni, whose Vaporeon can be a pretty tough nut to crack. His Surfs hit really hard, and access to Aurora Beam makes grass types generally unreliable, but thankfully Finnick can wall her and rip a few poison jabs to win us the battle. As a result, the sisters have deemed me worthy of meeting Johto's Great Protector Ho-Oh atop Bell Tower. 2 Surfs from Finnick are enough for the KO, and all we gotta do is take a tiny Sacred Fire. Oh, that's me risking Finnick to a critical hit for no reason. Well, never punished. After one last showdown with Snow, which is yet again wildly underwhelming, we've made it to the Indigo Plateau. All that's left to do is dethrone Lance and rebuild the league from the ground up. It'll take my 6 strongest rebels: Maisley the Quillfish, Rue the Haunter, Lucy Gray the Wheezing, Finnick the Tentacruel, Wyrus the Nidoqueen, and Beatty the Nido King. Sadly, this means no Pita, but the boy has a future role to play, and we can't risk his death so close to the end. Even so, think of how far we've come since Route 30. From struggling to defeat level 2 Pidgeys, all the way to now facing off against the strongest trainers in Johto. In a way, this all began with Pita, his will to survive. And without that early hard work, our rebellion would have never left Cherry Grove City. So for Pita, and of course for Katniss, let's do this. Will is our first mark, and without a way to stop Rue's Shadow Balls, victory is ours in 5 turns. I really don't understand why he has 2 Zatus and 0 Giraffarigs, but I'm not a member of the Elite Four. Or am I? Koga is second, and though the status-spreading ninja is normally a pain to deal with, he just really can't do much damage here. Beatty can one-shot Ariados, Venomoth, and Fortress with a flamethrower apiece. Lucy Gray walls Crobat and hits 2 Thunderbolts through a few double teams for a shockingly simple KO. Last then is Muck, and since he doesn't use Minimize on the switch to Beatty, maybe for the first time ever, we can get the kill with a single Earthquake to defeat the second member of the Elite Four. Bruno is third and largely sinless when it comes to the league's heinous evasion and status spam. The Beefcake prefers to just use brute force, and I'm happy to meet him where he's at. Let the record state that I've typed meat in the script as M-E-A-T because I called Bruno a beefcake. I might be the best to ever do it. Hitmontop eats an Earth Power before heading underground for a dig, which is possibly the worst place to be during an earthquake. More like Hitmon Flop. Seriously, I'm the best to ever do it. That brings in Onyx, so another Earth Power is another easy kill. Third is Hitmonchan, and since he has Ice Punch, I ignore it and stay in to rip Earthquake number 2. It's not enough for the KO, but the king can easily tank an Ice Punch without a problem. So once a few more Earthquakes post full restore take out Hitmonchan, Bruno brings in Hitmonlee, and he has significantly less defense than his punchy brother, which means yet another Earthquake brings our foe down to his final Pokemon. I decide that it's time to give Beatty a break, so Mazely comes in on a cross chop and starts doing damage with Waterfall. Unfortunately, after one, I need to switch to Wyrus, and with the rivalry nerf, she's barely doing any damage with Earth Power, though a special defense drop mitigates that problem by quite a bit. Even so, she needs the assist from Rue, who can swap in on a cross chop and finish the job with a single Shadow Ball. The final member of the Elite Four is Karen. Normally, her Houndoom is really tricky, but Finnick serves as an excellent counter thanks to his high speed and exceptional special bulk. Instead, the main issue is Karen's Umbreon, who, like with 90% of the enemy trainers in this game, just loves abusing evasion strategies. Beatty is my strongest attacker, so I was hoping to tear through Umbreon with 2 Earthquakes while he wastes time using a Confuse Ray that would trigger our held Person Berry. But Earthquake is clearly not a 2-hit KO, and Umbreon goes for a double team instead of a Confuse Ray. I decide to switch to Ice Beam here, since another Earthquake would simply cause Karen to use one of her full restores. Unfortunately, Beatty fails to lock in, and by missing 2 Ice Beams in a row, Umbreon's free to hit us with 2 Confuse Rays. So not wanting Beatty to hurt himself in confusion, I switch to Wyrus on a feint attack. She at the very least connects with a limp Earth Power before Umbreon sets up a second double team, so now all I need to do is connect with one more Earthquake. Frustratingly, we come in on a Confuse Ray, so I have to switch back out into Wyrus on a Payback. I decide to spend a turn using Toxic Spikes to hopefully bait a Confuse Ray on Wyrus, but Umbreon doesn't take the bait, opting instead for another Payback. So now a switch back to Beatty sees him eating a soft feint attack, which finally gives him a chance to rip an Earthquake. That misses and lets Umbreon connect with yet another Confuse Ray. Do you see why the Johto League's gotta go? This is madness. I switch to Wyrus on a feint attack, and then back to Beatty on another feint attack, but that triggers our poison point, which in most circumstances is great, but in this one is terrible because the damage brings Umbreon into the red and causes Karen to heal with a full restore. We are completely back to square one because Beatty then also misses another Earthquake. At this point, I'm starting to lose it. I'm letting my frustration get the better of me, and that is no way to win a Nuzlocke or lead a rebellion. Our next Earthquake connects as Umbreon sets up double team number 4. Then we miss another Earthquake, and Umbreon connects with a critical hit Payback. That's what finally breaks me. I want this Umbreon dead, and in a fit of rage, I blindly instruct Beatty to hit another Earthquake, one that does connect, but obviously fails to get the KO. So with one last Payback, Umbreon kills Beatty, and I have no one to blame but myself. Finnick comes in and manages to immediately connect with a Surf, so Umbreon finally falls, and the rest of Karen's team soon follows. But to lose a teammate because I couldn't keep my cool? That's shameful, a disgrace, and one I'll need to live with for the rest of my life. Victory will mean nothing if I lose myself along the way. You deserved so much better, Beatty. Rest in peace. I've now got 5 teammates left to deal with Lance's 6 flying types, and if they all want to make it out of this in one piece, we're gonna need to get lucky. The good news is that Rue can immediately one-shot Gyarados with a Thunderbolt to even up the numbers. She also baits out Aerodactyl, the only one of Lance's Pokemon that Finnick doesn't outspeed. So instead, our answer is Little Lucky Mazely, who's holding a Choice Scarf. As she comes in, she tanks a soft crunch. But then my heart sinks as Aerodactyl lands the defense drop, suddenly all but ensuring my sweet Sardine's demise. The only thing that can save her now is a critical hit or a flinch from Waterfall. But she doesn't get either, so Aerodactyl's super effective Thunderfang is a guaranteed kill. Like her namesake, Mazely never stood a chance against the winged beast, but it was the only thing I could do. I bring in Tentacruel anticipating that Lance will heal, and since he does, we're now free to take the kill with a Choice Specs boosted Surf. That brings in the first of the Johto champion's 3 Dragonites, so now I gotta switch out. Wyrus comes in as Dragonite miraculously whiffs a Dragon Rush, but on the following turn, he makes up for it with a critical hit. That Wyrus survives with a single hit point. Somehow she's lived. Though the thrills end there, as our rivalry nerfed Ice Beam isn't even enough to bring the dragon into healing range. I mean, logically, the best thing to do is sacrifice Wyrus for a safe switch back into Finnick, but I don't want to do it. Not after a 1 HP survival. I have to imagine there's a reason that Wyrus lived. Perhaps she has a greater purpose in the fights yet to come. So I switch to Lucy Gray, who dodges another Dragon Rush, which is awesome. Lucy also dodges a Hyper Beam, which is decidedly less awesome because that would have granted us a safe switch to Finnick on the following turn. Now the idea here was to hit Dragonite with a Flamethrower to bring him into healing range and provide Finnick with a safe switch that way, but Flamethrower does way less damage than I thought. So I now just have to hard switch Finnick in on what ends up being another Hyper Beam that this time does connect. With our phenomenal special defense, we shrug off the hit, and then Choice Specs boosted Ice Beams rip through not just this Dragonite, but his 2 siblings as well, leaving Lance with one last Pokemon, Charizard. So I switch back to Lucy Gray on a soft Dragon Claw. I then decide to stay in, which proves to be an entirely pointless risk as an Air Slash shoots Lucy Gray's health bar down to just 33 HP. Our Thunderbolt doesn't even do 50% in return, and unless we want a dead Covey on our hands, I gotta switch out. Finnick comes in and expertly tanks the Air Slash. So with one last Surf, Charizard falls, defeating Lance and earning my team of Rebels a coveted spot in the Hall of Fame. By all accounts, I was the champion. The Rebellion had won and we could tear down the Johto League. But ordering that drastic of an action would require more than just the title of champion. To prevent backlash, retribution, insurrection, I needed respect. I needed to be considered the greatest Pokemon trainer of all time, and it needed to be indisputable. The only way to do that is to beat Pokemon Trainer Red, which means that we need to beat the 8 gym leaders of Kanto. Fortunately, with our fairly robust type coverage, all but 3 of them are extremely straightforward. Janine, despite also sporting poison types, is a bit tricky since her Venomoth and her 2 Ariadoses all know Psychic. One could argue that spending a few minutes to get a Psychic spamming Venomoth of my own would make this fight easier, but I don't want to do that. Anyways, Finnick actually naturally outspeeds her lead Crobat, so 2 Ice Beams are enough to get the quick KO at the expense of a defense drop from Screech. The first Ariados comes out next, and I was worried that she'd use a Psychic to trigger our held Pataya Berry, which is my strategy for the far scarier Venomoth, but because of the Screech, Ariados instead opts for a Poison Jab, which does do a shocking amount of damage before we can get the KO on the following turn. That then brings out Venomoth third, so I rip a Surf, which I'm devastated to find out does not 2-shot. So now I gotta risk Rue, who's also holding a Pataya Berry, though a critical hit will still easily kill her. Fortunately, Venomoth opts for Sludge Bomb instead, probably as a result of some weird tinted lens AI, but since Rue actually quad resists the attack, she easily survives the hit and fires off a Psychic for the KO. Her Psychics also one-shot the second Ariados and Janine's Wheezing, so with that, victory is ours. The next problematic gym leader, perhaps unsurprisingly, is Sabrina with her 3 powerful Psychic types. Rue is fortunately fast enough to naturally outspeed Espeon and Mr. Mime, so with the choice specs, we can ensure 2 easy kills. But that still leaves Sabrina's Alakazam, who is faster, which means that this is a job for PETA. By holding another Pyapa Berry, he can switch in on Psychic, and as long as he doesn't get nailed by a critical hit, he can take the clean KO with a super effective Sucker Punch. Congratulations, PETA, your final job is done. Rest up, soldier. The third tricky matchup, as usual, is Blue. He's got 6 Pokemon, all of which hit extremely hard. I lead with Finnick, who can chain kills against Exeggutor with Sludge Bomb and Rhydon with Surf. That then brings in Machamp, threatening with Earthquake, so I switch to Rue, who avoids the attack with her Levitate ability and then retaliates with a Psychic for the clean KO. Arcanine comes in 4th, so I switch back to Finnick on what I'm hoping is not a critical hit Flare Blade.